like you mentioned Grant, played with him in the Cape. Is there anybody else, maybe somebody that was a freshman that's going in a sophomore like Grant, that LSU fans should keep an eye on next year?
First meeting was like, yeah, we got the 6-year guys like Vittmeyer and Bianco. I'm like, bro, I'm a normal senior. He goes, are you really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I swear. And he goes, no.
I don't even know this one.
Do you know Hideki had a huge porn collection?
I'll bring that up.
No, he's Google it. Google it.
What did y'all give him this morning? He is off the racks over here. Man.
He asked me specifically for Vyvanse this morning. I didn't give it to him. I was confused.
Oh, look out. Mikey is hit, and down he goes. Man. And he is not happy at all. That is the second time that Mikie Mahtook has been hit in this game. But this
Never forget it, bro. I had a 7 or 7:30 exam in the morning, so I walk outside.
Real life.
And I'm walking in my car, and I'm like, damn, I could have sworn I parked over here. I'm like, what? Nah, maybe it's not here. I'm gonna go look around over here, bro. I walked like 3 parking spots, like in the direction I thought I probably parked. I'm like, fuck that. I know I'm parked right here.
Kids still doing that and out there playing for hours instead of just chilling on the video games.
Yeah.
Is awesome to see.
Chilling on the video games. Did you just age 55,000 years?
Well, we call them Fortnite nerds.
Yeah. Chilling on the
Fortnite
video
nerds.
games.
I mean, chilling, like playing video games.
That's the way to say it, yes?
You think an old man would say chilling on the video game?
That's what you just said, yes.
You think an old man would say chilling?
On the video game?
On the video games?
Well, oh well.
You're an old man.
If you want,
Well,
I'm not a gamer.
You're getting older.
I mean, I guess I am.
Mikey.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome back to Mik'd. We are brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Today's Monday, November 28th. And we have a big show for you.
And
We are
LSU
here for
football
counseling.
is
We're here for
officially
counseling.
dead.
We're here for you to voice your concerns via the chat because we don't have a call-in. We probably should start doing a little call-in thing if people wanted to call in. We are hoping to be able to give you some positive. What?
I can go grab the phone.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it right this second, but we got prep it and tease it and talk about it. But hopefully this show can give you a little bit of an upbeat take on the season because I don't think that there was really anything upbeat that happened this past Saturday in College Station outside of Texas A&M making their season worth of shit, right? They beat us. They ruined our season. They ruined our playoff chances. And, I don't think that there was much about the game that we're going to sit in here and say, oh, this was good that we did or this was good that we did. The fact of the matter is we got our ass beat and wasn't pretty. It didn't look good. But we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the season. We're going to talk about what's coming up because unlike Texas A&M and unlike Alabama and unlike Auburn, and unlike Mississippi State, and unlike Ole Miss, we have another game to be played after this season, which would be called the SEC Championship game, which nobody thought was feasible before the year even started. Yet, here we are. Here they are. Not we. I haven't thrown one pass or caught one ball or made one block. Here they are in the SEC Championship game on Saturday. Friday or Saturday? Saturday. SEC Championship game's on Saturdays, right? Not Friday.
Yes.
On Saturday against Georgia, the number one team in the country. Yes, even if you beat Georgia, you're not in the playoffs. I don't care. You're still the SEC champion, and that is worth saying something. Being in the championship game is worth talking about and praising and being excited about. So, hopefully we get you past the loss with some positivity and some positive takes on the season and what to look forward to going forward. Obviously, probably should stop the run. Because that's basically what Georgia hangs their hat on is defense and run the football. And, we didn't do a very good job of that this past weekend. But we're going to get into that. Let's get through the Heineken headlines. Obviously, after the loss, LSU is going to drop in the polls. Drop to 11 in the AP, not as far as I thought they were going to get to. And then drop to number 13 in the coaches poll. We'll know where they dropped in the college football playoff poll come Tuesday night. I'd imagine they're probably in the 10 to 12 range, 13-ish maybe at the latest. I don't think they're past that, but we'll see. Honestly, I think that they may put us at 10 to make it a top 10 SC matchup, but maybe not. Maybe not.
So we get the
top 10 matchup in the SC and the SC
like they did
championship.
for Alabama.
Yeah. Right.
And
I don't know.
Alabama backdoors into the college.
No, we're going to get
playoff.
into that too because I know that you think that, and I know that that may be a long shot possibility, but I still believe a 1-loss Ohio State gets in over a 2-loss Alabama who hasn't beaten really anybody or made it to the SEC championship game. So we're going to get into those conversations. Saints are still in a bad spot.
Now let me ask you this too, so just so we can put this thing together, because we're talking about that. Ohio State lost by how much?
Yeah, 20-some points. I get it.
LSU lost by how much?
A lot.
Not that much.
Yeah,
How far did LSU drop?
5 or 6 spots.
How far is Ohio State
spots.
probably going to drop?
3 spots.
Okay, just check.
Yeah.
All right, just check.
I get it. No,
One at home, one on the road.
No, and I'll get it. I'll get you. Now the difference is obviously you play the number 3 team in the country. Versus
One at home, one on the road.
I know,
Okay.
but versus a 5-7 team. But like I said, there's going to be a debate. It's going to be something for the college playoff poll or playoff committee to talk about. That's just my take on it. We're going to get into it. We're going to have the conversation. Everybody's going to be able to say their side, their takes. But until then, let's go down the rest of the headlines because we talked about Saints, and the Saints still stink. The Saints defense played fucking awesome last weekend, and Saints offense did not play awesome. Also, still believe the Chris Olave ball is a catch.
Yeah. I don't know how that's not a catch.
They didn't call it a catch, but regardless, it was a tough weekend for Louisiana football outside of Tulane. Tulane
doing it still.
They lost their coach.
They did lose their coach. Willie Fritz is going to Georgia Tech, but Tulane
Lateral move.
They go into
Oh,
I mean, shit, maybe.
I mean,
what
are you hoping to get out of that? I don't know.
Georgia Tech,
It's a slight step.
Listen, Georgia Tech has had some athletes come out of there.
It's a slight.
I looked. Obviously, you have Jahmyr Gibbs transfer from Georgia Tech to Alabama.
Matt Forte, Darnell Mooney.
No, that's Tulane.
I know it is. My point is,
right.
you got some guys coming out of there too.
Right. Trivia question.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the last best quarterback
Reggie Ball.
No, from not Georgia Tech. I can't get over the fact that I watched Reggie Ball throw the ball out of bounds on 4th and 1. Do you remember that in the bowl game?
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, with Calvin Johnson there. Hey, instead of throwing it to you, they call it Megatron, which because you're not a human being, I'm just gonna.
This is pre-Megatron, but
I'm
still.
just gonna throw the ball out. But
JP Lossman.
You got it.
What was the question?
Wow.
What was the question?
Well, he didn't let me finish it, but he knew I was going to say the best quarterback to come out of the last good quarterback to come out of Tulane that got drafted high.
Oh, that was you would have got me with that.
He was a first rounder.
I didn't
Didn't
even
really make it.
2.
The Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember
Look at
that,
us.
but I didn't realize he was a Tulane guy.
Yeah, Tulane guy. And isn't there a Ramsey? Isn't there a guy Ramsey something? Ramsey?
That's where you could get me.
I could be wrong. Could be messed it up. But anyway, Tulane, congratulations. They are going to the AAC Conference Championship game. That is the one team in Louisiana that gave us a little bit of positivity. Not saying that people who are listening to this are huge Tulane fans, but hey, it's Louisiana football, and shout out to those guys. At 6:20, we have Graham Coffey, co-founder of Dog Central, coming in and talk LSU, Georgia. If you listen to Kirby Smart's press conference, today, talking about LSU, obviously he was very complimentary. He was talking about how talented they are. He was talking about how well coached they are. He was talking about all the things that you need to talk about, using all the coach speak leading up to the game. Because listen, Georgia has been in some battles with teams that are inferior to them athletically and probably in depth-wise, right? Missouri gave them a run. Kentucky gave them a run. They've had some tight games, right? Georgia Tech played well for the first half, then they got blown out. But they have, shown that teams can play with them. LSU is probably more talented than the teams that we mentioned. Hopefully they can rebound, figure out the mistakes, get the mistakes corrected, and figure out how to maybe upset them and really cause some havoc in the playoff. A lot of coaching changes in college football too.
It wouldn't do anything,
I don't
right?
think it would cause much havoc. But
No, I'm not saying havoc. In the college football world, maybe not the playoff committee, but the world. Like, oh my God, LSU just got that ass beat by A&M, and then they go ahead and beat Georgia. It'd be look good. Going 10-3 with the SEC championship is pretty good for Brian Kelly's first year.
What are your thoughts on going into a game
game?
against Georgia? I still feel like
There's a chance.
LSU has
Always. Absolutely.
17 points is a ton.
I think. Well, are you talking about covering or beating?
Just both.
So I think obviously I think that I'm gonna.
I don't think it's a 17-point game.
I'm gonna take it again at 17. I don't think it's a 17-point game. I don't think LSU is going to play like they played against A&M. Right? This is the biggest game of the year they've played. This is the one game that they've played all year that actually matters. Like you win the game, you get a physical trophy. Like you get something. You're a winner of something. It's not just a winner of a game. Hey, let's keep moving forward. If you win this game,
one of your preseason goals too.
Right, one of your preseason goals is to, hey, we're gonna win the West. Okay, you did that. Yeah. You're gonna win the SEC championship. Okay, you're gonna do that. Usually, you win the SEC championship, you go to the playoff. Obviously, this is a weird year,
outlier.
Crazy year, outlier year. But one of your goals, one of your big goals, still on the table, and everything is there for you to grasp. Now, I think that if you can't correct the issues that happened last weekend against A&M as far as stopping the run, because that was an embarrassing display of trying to be a physical football team. You got out physical. You just got punched in the mouth. Couldn't make any tackles. You had a guy who's been hurt, came in there, seemed like he was limping every other play after he got hit and running for 250 yards against us.
Big track guy.
Right? So you have to fix that because why? Because that's what Georgia does. Georgia says, oh, hey, you're going to go. We're going to run it down your throats with all of our really good running backs, and then we're going to throw it to our 2 monster tight ends who are studs. And we actually may run it with one of them who's going to run you over or outrun you to the edge, and then we're going to just suffocate you with defense. So you have to correct that. But to answer your question, I do think that LSU's in a good spot, 1, to cover, and 2, to make it a game, to give it a shot. Anything can happen. You're going to have to fix, like I said, on the defensive side. And look, I haven't watched film, and I want to talk to you about this too. But
Jerry Rice?
No, I want to see the aerial view. I want to see the all-22 of what we're running, because there's a lot of times it's hard for me to believe that when you have 4 seconds in the pocket, at times that these receivers are just getting blanketed, every single one of them. Right? I want to see what Jaden is looking at or not seeing. You know what I mean? I haven't watched it, so I can't speak on it as, outside of what I saw on TV, which you don't really see the whole thing because you only see from the camera point of view, right? So, to me, against Georgia, you're going to have to throw the football. You're going to have to be able to establish a run game, which I thought we ran the ball pretty well. We had some self-inflicted wounds early in the game. Dropped 3rd downs on 2 possessions that you're driving and they can't stop you, and they're both easy completions. You drop those. And you have that fumble that Jaden holds the ball. I know people are like, well, he made the right read because it didn't crash. The other guy pulling had him picked up. You hand it. You go, he pulls it, he fumbles. You pull it, hold on to the football. That's fine. If you want to make that the read, you can't fumble. That's 6 points that went the other way. Just a lot of sloppy stuff that happened that you have to correct going into the Georgia game. Before we get into this, I'm still talking about it. Y'all keep bringing it back. I'm trying to finish these headlines. What do y'all think about these coaching changes?
What are the big ones so far? Hugh Freeze?
Hugh Freeze to Auburn. Obviously, Lane Kiffin doesn't go anywhere. He stays at Ole Miss. So the argument of the lateral move, not lateral move, is still there. I don't even know if he got offered that job. So I don't. Do you? You talked to Sexton?
It seemed like you were very adamant that he was probably going to.
I think everybody was adamant. It seemed like, it was a lot of blue check marks that weren't purchased.
Here's the question.
Talking about
Here's the question. Do you, and we don't know the answer to it, but do you think Hugh Freeze would have taken the Vanderbilt job?
Vandy, no.
When? Last year?
Not like now. If it was
they don't want to. Vanderbilt doesn't want to get rid of their head coach. They like
no,
who they
I know. But he's saying hypothetically if the coaching spot is open.
Okay. No.
I think Liberty would have. I think Vandy's a step down from Liberty. To be honest with you,
might be
Liberty.
Yeah, well,
Liberty.
that's not the same Liberty, but we can go with that.
No different Liberty.
Willie Fritz, Tulane coach, goes to Georgia Tech. Right. You have Matt Rule going to Nebraska, which I think is a slam dunk.
I think it's a great move for them.
For them, for him, he has the ability to go. If he could do that at Baylor, he's going to be able to do that there. They are football crazy up there in Nebraska. Luke Fickell finally decides to up and leave, which is kind of crazy. He's going to Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin has been good for a long time. Obviously, they've struggled lately, the last few years. But historically, over the last, 10, 15 years, they've been a pretty good program, top of the Big Ten.
They've been a top 25 program.
Yeah, right? And so, you're going there. But I just feel like he was in the running and had offers for other big jobs that maybe would look bigger than Wisconsin.
Didn't he turn down some pretty big ones last year,
That's what I'm saying. I don't know the actual schools that he turned down, but you would imagine that
I
the
thought he was
success he's
shooting
had
for
at
bigger than a
Cincinnati.
Wisconsin.
Right.
Let me just say it that way.
But maybe
What's
you
the
know,
record this year?
I mean, they were before they lost to Tulane. They were 9-2.
So he did it again. He does. That
Right.
And I don't know if he's trying to strike while the iron's hot, because that's what I thought he would have done last year with
Yeah.
Luke Fickell. His name was everywhere.
Right.
LSU job, just kind of every job that was open. Auburn was open again last year for a little bit with the Harsin News and his assistant, and that turned out to not be true, but that's Auburn trying to push people out, which is why I think that it is a dumb job to take. Perfect for Hugh Freeze, because that's HughFreeze.com.
I'm going to say the Auburn job does at this point sound like it's in just.
It's a shit show.
It's a disarray.
I mean,
Seems like they're-
I feel like Hugh Freeze was like hey, stay away from that guy right now, and well, he's back. So.
Well, because they asked Lane, and he was like, I'm good. I don't need my whole contention with that job and Lane Kiffin or anybody that wanted to take it was everybody is, for lack of a better term, up your ass every corner of the way. Like, their boosters can't get out their own way. LSU has had some of that problems, and you see what happens whenever you do that. By trying to help, you're hurting. And Auburn can't stop doing that, and Hugh Freeze is just like, I'm kind of tapped out at Liberty. What else can I do here?
Right.
Get me back in the SEC, because he can coach.
No
Whether
doubt.
it
He's
be
only
from
had one losing season in his
whether
entire
it be
12
from
year
a dentist
career.
chair or wherever you want to put him, he can do it.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to put up with a bunch of bullshit, and I felt like Lane was just like, I don't want to Ole Miss lets me do whatever I want. Like, he's tweeting like a madman, and nobody says anything, so he's like, what I really want is freedom.
I think he's looking for
Auburn-
that, but I think he's looking for that anywhere he would go.
Right, and
Right.
Auburn
At
just
this point.
doesn't offer that.
Right.
They
Yeah,
they
maybe
put you
you're
in,
right.
it's a private school. Like,
And you
it's,
take that, obviously that's part of the program, but if you take that out, obviously like
it's a better
It's
job.
a better job to have. It's a better job.
Right.
Yeah, you can have longer sustained success there than you can at Ole Miss. But good for Lane for sticking to his guns and not leaving. Whether he got offered or not, if he got offered, said no, and stayed, great. Parlayed that into a bigger contract. Obviously, that's
Jimmy
what you do.
Sexton.
Jimmy Sexton making a lot of money.
He's waiting for that Alabama
Dion came
job.
out. Yeah, I mean, he may be the only guy that could follow him and say fuck it.
I mean, Nick Saban almost died this weekend.
I mean, he got cut in the eye, dude.
And he wore it like a champ.
Yeah, bro, he's okay.
He really wanted you to see that he got hit.
What do you want to do? Put a Band-Aid like Nelly?
Yes, I would like for him to wipe his face off at the post game.
I'm sure he wiped it, but I'm sure it was still bleeding
Well, that's also sad. It's
or dry blood.
old man skin.
I mean, dude,
Oh my god.
that's
what
normal.
happens
That's
when-
what happens to your body.
That's
It's
what
normal.
hap-
If I cut you on your face right now and you would try to stop it, it would look like a scab on it. It get dried up.
He was still bleeding. You look like you went 6 rounds with Mike Tyson.
Dion confirmed. Colorado offered him a job. He has confirmed that he has an
I say,
offer.
whoa. But I say, wait.
He has confirmed that Colorado has offered him the job to be the head coach at
Right.
University of Colorado
And
in Boulder.
I think he wants to coach his kids.
You don't think he takes it? I think he does.
I don't know if he takes this one.
I think he does.
I think he's
he
waiting for a bigger job.
The only reason why.
But he
The only
came
reason
out and
why.
said that's one of the jobs that he wanted to take.
Yeah, the only
that
reason.
one and
But let's go with the
well,
old coach.
why would he
speak.
pick those teams?
Let's go with the old coach speak. I think he confirms that and comes out and says that because
He's staying.
because he's looking for other.
Yeah, he wants to
Yeah,
let
but
you know
he-
I am available.
Right.
Yeah, but so you're saying that he just came out and said that his list of teams that he wanted to go coach is University of South Florida or
I think
Colorado.
at this
Before they
point-
got offered, you think that's why he did it?
I think at
Just-
this point, the reason why the Colorado thing got thrown out there is probably because they have been on his trail for a while. And
Yeah.
so now that the offer's there, let me throw this out there to see if I actually get any other real fish that I want.
Okay,
Maybe even South Florida, but maybe not. Like I can't envision myself Dion saying Florida and then Colorado's the spot. Maybe he does. I just can't. I don't.
I'm just
I
saying.
don't see that.
I think Colorado has an. I mean, they've won there before a long time ago, like in the '90s.
Yeah, with Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, they got the 5th down.
They did. But I don't know. I mean,
Flag.
When they was
I would
beating
like
Tim
to see-
Batuka.
I would like to see.
Michigan.
Who did you say? Tuyasa Sopo?
No, Tippy out to
Close.
Pachuca.
When he was at
Carolina
Michigan.
Panther.
Who?
Oh my God!
God,
remember
did
this
you
guy?
not play NFL Blitz as a child?
Tim Biaka Batuka,
Don't know who that is.
running back, Michigan.
Oh, I do know who that is. Just joking. I do know who that is.
Carolina Panther.
Yep, I got it. The
Good
Michigan
back.
got me.
He's
Great
a good
back.
back. That Cordell Stewart was in Colorado though.
Because if you ever-
Damn, we feel old as shit talking about that.
I feel old now. But if you talk about NFL Blitz, he was everywhere. Tim Biata Pachuca.
I'll be honest with you. The only reason I really remember that name is because that was probably one of my most like prized possession like player cards I ever had.
Really?
I had a college card of him. I remember.
There you go.
And I remember looking at that name and tapping my mom on the shoulder and being like, just go ahead, tell me, because I don't know how this is said, so I need your help, right?
Does she know?
Yeah, I guess she figured it out, I guess. I don't know.
Or listen
I mean,
to
you
him?
know how to say it now. Yeah, somebody
I know
know. Yeah.
Is there a guy in the chat or in the waiting room? Is he on the on deck circle?
Let's see.
No. Okay.
I sent him the link.
You did send the link, Graham.
All I can do is send the link.
Graham. We'll see. Maybe he's a little late. Maybe he's fashionably late. It's okay.
He ain't worried about us. Georgia's got a whole lot on their plate.
I'm sure that he's not at a presser right now. He's probably at his house.
No, but LSU no longer gets the.
It's the SEC championship game. It matters. It
But
matters.
if LSU doesn't lose, and that's what we really need to get to the meat and potatoes of.
It doesn't. But here's my thing.
Give me your LSU thoughts.
I will. But here's my thing. The SEC championship game, whether LSU won that game or didn't win that game, does nothing for Georgia. It doesn't change Georgia's position on going into the game at all. Because the fact that LSU won, if LSU won and if they had to beat Georgia to go to the champ, it's not going to affect what happens to Georgia after the SEC championship game. Regardless of the win or loss, their position stays the same.
That I agree with, but the impetus to talk about this game has probably died down on Georgia's end.
For you. Because it still matters to them. They got to win.
No, they don't. They're still in the playoff.
I know, but they still want to win the SEC championship game. Like, it matters to them.
Why?
I think for two reasons. I will say this. I do think for two
Because
reasons.
you're not a normal person. They're an athlete, and they've worked their whole season to win that.
For two reasons they really want to win. One is probably what he said, which is way more on the player side. But for the coach's side of it, too, I think they're really worried about the actual physical location of these semifinal games.
Yep.
So
Good
whatever
point.
seeding that you're in,
You get to pick the best
who
spot.
I don't know where. Do y'all know where the semifinal games are this year? I don't know where there are, but I'm sure they want the one that's probably closer to them, which
I agree.
is probably what you'll get with the number one seed.
You get to pick wherever you want.
Or, but then there you
That's
go.
what happens. When you're the number one seed, you get to pick
There you go.
wherever you want to go.
And it's the Fiesta Bowl, the Peach Bowl, and the National Championship is in
The
Los
National
An-
Championship
You don't
in
think they
Los
want that?
Angeles.
You don't think they want that Peach Bowl?
Yeah, no doubt.
Definitely.
So what's going to happen is so it matters. This game, honestly, that's a very good point because this game matters more because of that than anything. But at the same time, I can promise you, like with 100% guarantee, that nobody's walking into that locker room and walking into the office saying, "Oh, it doesn't fucking matter if we win or lose. Like we're still going to the playoff." That doesn't
I
matter.
know that, but I'm just saying it's not the end all be all that it could have been.
It wouldn't have been that
It
anyway.
wouldn't have been that anyway.
Even if they lost against us, they still would have been in the playoff. It wouldn't have changed any way of them looking at the game. The only thing that changed is your mindset in the game because LSU lost. That's really the only thing, right? It doesn't change any.
The significance of it for LSU changes,
Yeah.
but not for Georgia.
Georgia's
That's what I'm
stance.
saying. So now the conversation for him is not that important
No.
because he's like the LSU game is the LSU game. If LSU had beaten Texas A&M, which
The
they
LSU game would have still been the LSU game.
Yeah, like what is that? What
From
would have
that-
changed for Georgia's side of them talking about that?
because if LSU wins, they're in the playoff. And
What does that have to affect? How does that affect Georgia?
Because then they're gonna have to see him again.
Maybe if they go to the national championship game, they're not going to do it in the semifinals. But what is that like?
But
If they
now-
lost the game, they're still in the playoff.
Right.
So
Now
what
it's-
changes?
Now it's just another game.
It's always just another game. Like that's the thing. Like
Easy work for Georgia.
that's not. They're not.
Unless you want to give me 17 points.
They're not. They haven't changed their mindset. It still matters to them. It's a big game. If they go out and get their ass beat, like Jared said, it's going to affect the way that they are going to make their run in the playoff. They don't want to go on the West Coast, win, come back, and have to go back to the West Coast.
I agree with that. I haven't thought of that angle at all. In terms
I can guarantee you there's probably a lot of players that are like, I don't want to play here again, but the coaches don't want any of that routine to change.
No doubt.
They want to be basically at home for another home game, and then we'll see you on the road the next one.
No doubt. So, okay, you want to hear my takes on the game?
Yeah, I mean we've avoided it for.
I don't know. What do you want? Well, I was waiting on him to come in the chat.
He's not here yet.
Huh?
He's not here yet.
I know. That's why I didn't want to get into it because
No, I'm talking about A&M.
I know, but I didn't want to get into the A&M stuff.
If we could go to Georgia
If
first,
we had-
I
if we
agree.
had to go
I
to him.
agree. But he's not here yet.
All right, so let's
and
talk
we've
about it.
avoided it long enough. And give me your thoughts because
On the game.
I do feel like we all felt like A&M was a live dog, but in my mind, the way that LSU lost was not very
I thought
encouraging.
a live dog, in my mind. Oh, A&M's
Time out. Well, before you let him go ahead, finish. Give me the discouraging thoughts of it.
I mean, that
You
was
got
the script,
pushed
too.
around. Like, that's not the way LSU hasn't been. LSU moved Bama around. LSU has not been beaten to the point of attack in terms of offensive line, defensive line. Like, they've controlled the line of scrimmage all year. And to see what A&M did, like, it didn't matter if A-Chain played or not. It could have been 6. It could have been 4. They weren't touched for the first 5 yards. Harold Perkins had 1 tackle. Obviously, there's a way. That's also one of the more concerning parts when you go into a Georgia game, because you don't think Kirby Smart's going to watch that tape and go, this is how you can do it.
No doubt.
Just run the ball down their throat, because what's Harold Perkins' biggest asset?
I told y'all on, what was it, Friday? Last Friday? Or was it last Wednesday?
Wednesday.
I told y'all they were going to run the ball.
No doubt.
Right at Perkins.
Absolutely.
Right at BJ.
100%.
Make
That's
them
exactly what they did.
And they did that all night.
That's exactly what they did. So for me, going into it, I thought we all agreed A&M has the ability to make this game. I thought it was going to be a tight game. LSU was going to have to play their ass off and win it at the end, right? Maybe it was a 1-score game. They get a last second, like not last second, but like a fourth quarter stop. They go down and they kick the field goal, make it 2 possessions, boom, ball game, right? But I thought it was going to be a tight game. I did not think that LSU was going to get pushed around. You like what I just did there?
Oh, my God. It's the Austin Powers when he's in the chair.
So, I mean.
And the other part of it that discouraged me. Oh, he's here. Perfect. See, that's why I didn't want to get into this.
We'll be back with
We'll
that.
be back with our takes in a little bit, right? Graham Coffey is in the waiting room. And we're going to take a minute break, get him situated, talk about if Lloyd's assessment of this SEC championship game, and it doesn't matter as much to Georgia anymore, holds true. I would imagine that Graham is going to say that it does matter a lot, and this loss does nothing to change that. But we'll find out. All right, we're going to take a minute break. You're watching Mik'd, brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Operated for over 25 years. They have 13 locations, 4 in Opelousas, 5 in Lafayette, 1 in Broussard, 2 in Jennings, 1 in Crowley. They sell any type of car you could possibly find: Buicks, GMC, Ford, Lincoln, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Hyundai, Genesis, and Kia, along with 5 pre-owned locations. They have over 1,500 cars in inventory on site. Unbelievable service, unbelievable people. If you're like me and you're on the go, they can sell and they can ship you cars up to 200 miles. Unbelievably convenient. Again, my friends down at Sterling Automotive in Lafayette, go to their website at saveatsterling.com. Awesome people, go check them out. Today's show is brought to you by Dos Equis. Here in Louisiana, we like to have a great time. If you're looking to be the life of the tailgate, check out Dos Equis mini kegs. Hold 16 beers, easy to tap, easy to pour, easy to chill. Check it out. Become a life of the party. You're welcome.
Yeah, you guys hear me? Perfect. Yeah, no worries. Sorry about it. There's been a few technical difficulties on this.
Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive. We kind of talked a little bit about the Georgia preview. Graham Coffey, co-founder of DogCentral.com, is in the chat, or not in the chat. He is here on show via video call. Lloyd had a take about Georgia's mindset going into this game. I think is not very good. But Graham is the expert at all things Georgia. So Graham, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me here.
All right, let's jump into it. Does the loss last weekend, LSU's loss last weekend, the way they lost, how they lost, to who they lost, to whom they lost to, does that change the energy or the hype of this SEC championship on Georgia's end?
I think it does to a certain extent. Probably the best thing that Georgia has going for them into this game is the fact that they lost to Alabama last year the way they did in the SEC championship. I think there's a lot of guys who were on that team and now have a maybe more significant role this year. And Georgia people haven't talked about this a ton publicly from like the football program standpoint, but I think looking back, there's a lot of anecdotes and stories about the team maybe not really being locked in for that Alabama game last year, and this current group feeling like they have a chance to go 15-0 and win a national title, which the group last year did not. And if I'm not mistaken, I think 2019 LSU is the only crew to go 15-0 since the playoff era ever started. So I think there's a good motivation there, but I mean, it is natural for any group of athletes to maybe turn on that Texas A&M tape, but I don't know, lose a little bit of an edge or intensity coming into this matchup.
Yeah, on my side of it, looking at it from an athlete's perspective, and what I would imagine they're thinking, regardless if LSU won the game or lost the game, Georgia was going to be in the same position. Whether they won or lost, they're probably still going to be in the playoff. At the end of the day, it's about getting into the SEC championship. I mean, winning the SEC championship and getting to the playoff as a number one seed, because at that point, and Jared talked about it a little earlier, you kind of control where you get to play, right? If you're the higher seed, you get to pick the semifinal game that you're going to go to, which I would imagine if you're at Georgia, you want to play in Atlanta, right? So, to me, in my mind, I just don't think it changes the impact, because whether LSU won or lost, it was going to be the same anyway, correct?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think Georgia, I mean, let's be honest, I think that the last few weeks, with Kentucky and Georgia Tech, like, they've looked a little bored at times. They've come out a little flat, start those games. The playbook maybe hasn't been quite as open as you saw it against Florida and Tennessee, and even at times against Mississippi State. So I think these guys will be excited to kind of go play with a full deck, so to speak. dUpMikie as an offensive coordinator, a guy who just he doesn't show cards like he has to. Like, you go back last year, this was kind of the case where, he keeps things pretty vanilla until it's the game and an opponent that I think they have a little level of respect for, and then it's all out. But I mean, these guys grew up going through high school, playing in all-star games with kids that are on LSU's roster, and playing against them in high school. And I mean, Mitch Burns was in Athens a couple years ago, right? Look, there's good, a healthy respect for the talent on LSU's roster and how well recruited it is. As far as the mentality, I think Jordan's done a pretty good job all year of ever since that Missouri game. I think they've done a pretty good job of not overlooking anybody, and they want to go win a championship. It's only happened once under Kirby Smart, which is a little surprising with all the success that they've had, but it's going to be an opportunity that I think they relish.
Hey, Graham, we're going to call you right back. We're having some connection issues on our end, so we're going to disconnect, call you right back. Is that cool?
Yeah, no worries.
All right, cool. All right. Can we take him off and then bring him back on?
Yeah.
Right,
he's
cool.
just gonna have to rejoin the chat, which I think he'll be able to do. I'm gonna close and send another link to him.
Sorry about that. Sometimes internet just doesn't want to
Yeah.
cooperate. It's not on anybody else's fault. It's just the way
It's the way it goes.
the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, just send me a fresh link and I'll rejoin.
Wait. No. I'll send you a fresh link. All right, I'm gonna send you a new one.
Here we go. Boom.
All right, filibuster.
We can definitely do that. We can filibuster.
Yeah,
So
because
he was kind of on your side a little bit in a sense.
I know. I couldn't really listen because I was,
Yeah.
I was
He
trying to
basically
figure
just
this
said
thing
it
out.
loses a little bit of luster because of it's not as high profile of a matchup. But at the end of the day, they're in the same position whether or not LSU won or lost that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. I do think it's going to be interesting. I want to know what his take on a couple of these things.
Good. You're going to be the next question whenever he comes back on.
I'm sending him a new link.
You sent him a new link? We're working through this. We're working through
I
this.
appreciate it, boys. I'm sorry about that. I don't
Wasn't
know.
your fault. Not your fault. You don't control the internet. The cloud does, or whatever controls the internet. The internet controls the
I
internet.
just don't understand how it's 2022 and there's still such a thing as
And he
bad
had such
internet.
good quality. Like, his video was
Wait, are you
great.
hearing me? Like, how is there still such a thing as bad internet? Like, how is that still a thing?
It's a money thing, man.
It's
It's a money thing.
unbelievable.
The people controlling the internet are saying, hey, you know what, this is going to be bad because I need you to spend more money on the higher
Get you
bandwidth
the
of
higher
internet so
bandwidth,
that
yeah.
you can have,
That's
Meanwhile,
crazy.
you have Elon Musk sending free internet over to, like, Ukraine and all that kind of stuff.
He's doing a lot.
He is doing a lot.
We'll see if this works.
I think he's getting a lot of negative plus. We're not gonna get.
Yeah, that's a.
Oh, you don't want to talk about Elon?
No.
No, that's a little over us right there.
That's not the filibuster.
I
that
got
I want.
plenty
I
of
don't even know if
things.
you want to say over us. It's just not.
That's
that
just
ain't-
not.
It's
That's
not.
just
our
not
lane.
something that we even need to
Yeah,
bring up.
I'm not here for.
All right. I sent him the new link. Let me
All right.
turn him up.
Is he in?
No, not yet.
Oh.
He will be, though. But like I said, it worked on our end. It's just a little bit of one of those things where the connection isn't so good. I don't know how McAfee figures it out so quickly on the fly.
Well, they have more people and they have more
I'm only one man.
Resources.
They have more resources behind them.
I would
a
say
little bit.
the resources is probably the biggest thing.
While we're filibustering and while we're waiting, we have been doing and trying to expand in some of the content that we put out, right? Not just us content, but videos and pictures and all these types of things that we've been trying to put together and do different things. Well, our friend, our teammate, Jack, has been putting out some hype videos, which have been pretty awesome, right? It's look, he's new in the video game, in the video editing game, but the first one was good, second one was good. He's getting better and better. We have a big one coming up this week.
Big.
It's gonna be
LSU really shit the bed for it. It was going to be big. But it'll still
No, it's
slap.
always going to be big. So it's always going to slap. It's a big. Whether you want to believe this or not, this is still a big game, and the guys are going to still be pumped to play it.
I agree.
So, that's not going to take away from. It just takes.
They are playing for a spot in the New Year's one. Is it New
Year's 6?
New Year's 6, yeah. They are playing for a spot.
You win the SEC. You're probably playing in what the
Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl winner always goes. I'm sorry. The SEC champ or the SEC runner-up.
Well, see, the
Is it
thing-
the runner-up, right?
Well, but the runner-up is going to be. We're going to be the champ. The runner-up's going to be in the playoff.
Right. So
Yeah.
I would imagine it just kind of flipped this year,
How we doing?
which is such a weird thing.
Graham, you're back.
I'm back. Can you hear me okay?
Oh,
look
there
at
we go.
that.
It's fixed. There we go. Way better. All right.
Much.
This is clean. This is clean. All right. Jared has a question for
Okay,
you.
so look, continuing on, Graham, I want to know. So I got the opportunity to know Todd Monken and play for him for a year. He is a pretty straightforward perfectionist, if you will, and he's not afraid to correct everything that's going on. Now, at the end of the day, I think we all can agree that we're going to watch a Georgia team win, lose, or draw go into the playoff situation. But we are still talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids. I do think it's going to be pretty hard to get them to lock in on the task at hand this week in practice. What are your feels about how their preparation is going to go this week with the way things have gone and the way this thing is shaking out to what you're going to get in the SEC championship?
Yeah, I think, you talk about that perfectionist streak of within Todd Monken, and you've kind of seen that the last couple of weeks. Like, Georgia's offensive line played a really bad game against Mississippi State, and then against Kentucky and Georgia Tech, it's like, we're going to run the ball all day, and we're going to challenge this group, and, we want to see them look better, and they have. From a preparation standpoint, I think there is a motivation here for Georgia to go 15-0, to win a conference championship, which they didn't do last year. Georgia hasn't won an SEC title since 2017. So I think there is a healthy motivation there. Like you said, right? Like there's always going to be the things that occur around 18 to 22-year-old kids. There's only so much you can control as a staff, but from what I've heard and just kind of talking to people close to the program, the guys who have been leaders on this team all year really want this. They really want to kind of have that feather in their cap of going all the way through and winning the SEC championship on the way to winning a national title. And the group last year didn't do that. So I think the Alabama game from last year, that loss is probably the best thing Georgia has going for it this week, just because they still have that bad taste in their mouth.
Obviously, Georgia is a physical, hey, we're going to smash you in the mouth and you're not going to be able to gain a yard on us type of team, right? If you watched the LSU game last weekend, which I think a lot of people did, unfortunately, LSU got smashed in the mouth by a Texas A&M team that hasn't really done that all year, got run through, and offensively they kind of, they moved the ball a little bit but had some self-inflicted wounds and stalled out, and the game kind of got away from them. For the LSU fans that are listening, what is the avenue to pull off this upset and to upset Georgia basically in a home game for them? Like, how do they do that? What is the game plan? What is the recipe to pull off something like that?
I think if you look at Georgia's defense this year, really ever since that Missouri game, they haven't given up explosive runs. And I don't think LSU, or probably anyone in the country, but I don't think LSU can come into this game and consistently get 5-6 yards a pop on the ground. But I think, LSU needs to stay committed to the run game, at least to a certain extent, and kind of just hope you have a bad fit somewhere in that back seven from Georgia and you can pop a big explosive run play. For all the hype that exists around Keely Ringo as a top draft prospect, you go look last week, Georgia Tech targeted him 9 times. Now, he did a good job. He gave up 3 catches. He had 3 pass breakups. But let's be honest, true number 1 corners aren't usually getting targeted 9 times. LSU has a very good receiving core, and those guys have some size in a way that a lot of Georgia's opponents this year haven't. Georgia's going to get up and they're going to play, press man with them, and they're going to have 2 safeties sitting back there in cover 2 most of the time. But I think the avenue for LSU is really just hoping you win more of those battles on the sidelines than not, and catching some 50-50 balls, and then just kind of hoping for Georgia to make an uncharacteristic mistake or 2. And I think the way to create that is, putting pressure on them, putting some game stress on them that hasn't been there. But Kamari Lassiter on the side opposite of Ringo has been really, really good this year. So I think if you're LSU, you want to pick kind of on Ringo's side and just hope that, you get some PIs and you hit a long play or 2, and then, try and work the slot with Javon Bullard. Malachi Starks, the safety, he is a true freshman, and he's, a 5-star kid, and he started the year with a really impressive interception against Oregon. He's been very good in man coverage, but there have been some moments this year where teams have been able to kind of get him once in a game. So I think that's kind of the hope for LSU, is just plan on your receivers winning,
that's
those
not
50-50 balls.
That's not giving us much. That's not giving us a lot of hope. Hey, pray for a pass interference.
Doesn't sound like an even competition.
Don't go after the other cornerback. Go after the potential first rounder, and then just hope that you have some.
He might grab somebody.
Yeah, hope that a lucky charm's up your ass right now.
We're in a good spot.
Grant,
Let me ask you this. I mean, because I think the thing that Georgia has been so good at this year is just they're just a really good tackling football team.
Right.
And so, Brian Kelly's a great offensive mind. There's a lot of good offensive minds on that staff. But I do think you need a superb game out of your offensive line.
No doubt.
I think and you need some moments where, your tight ends are getting downfield and they're cleaning up somebody on a block, and maybe you hit a screen pass or something like that. But it's just no one has been able to just drive the ball down the field on Georgia this year, because, if you throw a 4-yard route, they're tackling you at 4 yards. They're not, letting that turn into 7 or 8.
Right.
And so, I think that's really the big thing is like Jaden Daniels has been a ton of fun to watch this year. He's been kind of up and down, but I just don't think he's the quarterback who is super, super accurate to a level where he's going to hit that short route every single time and never get you behind the sticks. And once Georgia gets you behind the sticks, man, like it's trouble.
So you talk about these infinite advantages, right? We're also talking about a de facto home game. I think for the average fan, a lot of people don't realize you talk about them not winning a SEC championship last year. I don't think people realize that Alabama's about 2.5 hours from where that SEC championship game is played, so it's really a split stadium. With the win being taken out of the sales of the LSU thing, how much of a home game are you really expecting this to kind of be for Georgia?
I mean, I think just looking at the kind of aftermarket ticket sites, there's been a lot of tickets pop up since that LSU loss on Saturday night. So it seems like, like prices for this game were really, really high. And then there's sort of been a flood of tickets over the last couple of days. I would assume most of those are coming from the LSU side, but there could be Georgia people as well that have become less interested in this matchup and maybe said, let me save my money for a playoff game. Hopefully we're coming back to Atlanta. That's probably the mindset for some Georgia fans, but I would expect it to be a heavy Georgia crowd, maybe, 70-30, but like LSU folks always travel well. Right.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's more purple and gold in that stadium than a lot of people are expecting.
Coming off the loss of which LSU just had to Texas A&M, if you're obviously, I would say you're a fan of Georgia, you cover Georgia, what scares you if there's anything about LSU in which you have to defend? Obviously, I heard Georgia's defense is great. I feel like the offense has been a little bit anemic on Georgia's side for the last 2 weeks.
Ooh.
It hasn't been great. And so the point spread is 17, dog. What makes you think that? I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so, if there's not going to be a blowout, what point do you get to? How does LSU pull off an upset?
Yeah, I mean, I think Georgia's had a tendency to turn the ball over this year on offense, right? Like, I kind of talked a second ago about like Georgia's defense. I think is the best unit in this game. That doesn't mean they can't be had. They let Missouri put up 20-something points on them this year, right? And like, I think, generally speaking, for Georgia's defense this year, if things have gone a little bit awry, it has been a product of the offense having some turnovers. Georgia's had 3 turnovers against Kent State in a quarter, like muffed punts and, fumbles and just weird stuff. They've cleaned that up a bit, but Stetson Bennett does have a tendency to, kind of have one or two like YOLO plays a half where he maybe feels himself a little too much and will try and force the ball into double coverage.
He got the new haircut.
Yeah. Stacoivius is as they call him. But I really, I'm interested to get your perspective kind of playing for Todd Monken. But you brought up Georgia's offense looking anemic the last couple of weeks, and I would agree. And I've been critical of them in some of my post game analysis. But you turn on the film and you're like, they're running a bunch of just really vanilla stuff. I mean, they're about a half zone scheme, half gap scheme team in the run game. And for a lot of the year, the zone stuff wasn't working well. The last few weeks it has been. But I'm just curious what the route tree looks like for the wide receivers on Saturday. I really am, just because they haven't really been asking those guys to go downfield much. And then, that Georgia Tech game was a little weird and kind of tight and all, Tech never really stopped Georgia, but Georgia had a lot of penalties and stuff that killed drives and put them in bad situations. But all of a sudden in the third quarter of that game, it's like they trot Arian Smith out, who we've barely seen this year, and he's open in the back corner of the end zone from 50 yards away, and they throw an 80-yard wheel route to the running back. So it's kind of what I was talking about with Monken earlier. I feel like there's explosive plays that he kind of has like on file, but we haven't seen them for the last couple of weeks. And earlier this year, Georgia was much more of like this pass first offense where Bennett was attempting, he was dropping back 35 to 40 times a game. Last couple of weeks, it's been more like 18 to 20. So I'm curious how they'll attack this LSU defense. Looking at what Texas A&M did last week, it felt like, they had a lot of success running the ball. And I think that's fine, well, and good. But if you're Georgia, I do think they've had a tendency to almost get too conservative at times this year and rely a little too much on that defense, or maybe be a little overconfident in that defense and kind of, get up a couple possessions in a game and just get so one-dimensional that, Kentucky had 10 guys in the box for like the entire fourth quarter, and Georgia still never passed the ball. So I think if you're a Georgia fan, you don't want to see that.
So is that a lack of confidence in Stetson Bennett, or is that just their mindset as a team right now? Like, hey, we're not gonna try to do anything crazy. We don't have to.
I think there's maybe elements of each. Stetson's had a really good year, and like if you look at his interception line, there's about 3 of those that he's only had 6 picks, but at least half of them were on wide receivers, like balls bouncing off hands that were well thrown and just kind of strange stuff. I think honestly, what happened is Georgia went to Mississippi State. They couldn't run the ball, and they came out in the third quarter and they threw the ball all over the place. And put that game away. But I think it freaks Kirby Smart out when he can't run the football and when, he doesn't feel like his offense can go on a 4-minute drive to end a game. And that Mississippi State game, they didn't look like that. And then the next 2 weeks, you just have these really run-heavy game plans where it's almost like they're trying to kind of tweak and perfect what they're doing up front. And it feels like maybe there's honestly been like a part of me that's wondered, do they kind of feel like they know what they have in Stetson, and you have these 2 monster tight ends, and you kind of know what your wide receiver core is this part of the year, and they've done some rotations up front on the offensive line. Like they've just sort of played with that group a lot. So there's almost part of me that felt like we're playing opponents we feel comfortable we're going to beat, and we want to make sure we have this run game dialed before we go face LSU.
It's called being good. That's what happens when you have a football team.
So my guess is I do think there is a ton of I think Todd has a lot of what you see in Jimbo in the sense of you're a good offense when you know what you're doing, the defense knows what you're doing, everyone in the stadium knows what you're doing, and you still execute it. So I would say probably what you've seen over the last couple weeks is him not really wanting to give up the explosive plays that are in there. I do think because I personally think he probably respects LSU, knowing what this place is and knowing what it's been, that you'll see him open it up a little bit this game. I think you'll see that early, and I think late you'll see them attack what you just saw LSU give up on film recently.
Yeah, because if LSU does what they did last week, Stetson Bennett's going to throw the ball 6 times, and Georgia's going to run the ball for 450 yards.
But what I personally think is you'll see them open up the game with some play action stuff. Yeah. Because having those guys already thinking that, hey, like they're trying to run it down our throat, play action stuff, get them deep, and then once this game kind of gets going and into the not late second, depending on where they are, but like second half of the game, I think they're going to try to absolutely run the ball down the throat, bleed the clock out, win the ball game that way. But I do think you'll see him try to open it up early on.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and that kind of follows the pattern of what you've seen them do. Against Tennessee, right? Like they came out in that first half and they threw the ball a lot. They were very, very good at being, unpredictable and switching up, run and pass. And the last couple of weeks, it's been, run first down, run second down. If it's 3rd and 4 or longer, we'll throw. If it's not, we're going to run again. It's just been super vanilla. So I think you'll see a little more variation to their kind of run pass cadence than what you've seen the last couple of weeks. I think you'll see Georgia look more like the offense they did for a lot of the year. And you talk about Georgia, I think a lot of people think defense because Kirby Smart's a defensive guy, and that's definitely the identity of the team. But I would argue this is probably the best offense he's had. Kirby Smart's had. Maybe 2018 would kind of challenge that as well, but like they just tend to be more balanced, and more effective. Like there's been times in the past where if you take Georgia's run game away, things get really sketchy, and so far this year it hasn't happened much, but when it has, Stetson in that group of pass catchers has been fine, and they'll just go throw for 300, 350 on you, and everything will work out. So I'm curious to see sort of how LSU comes out early in this game. If they do go heavy into the box and kind of creep those safeties up, then I think it's more likely to be like you said, where Georgia tries to test them downfield a little bit more early and kind of back those guys off and create more room for that running game.
You're saying that about their offense. I do think there's a lot of merit to it in a sense of I personally don't think the receivers are what they've kind of had there in the past, but I do think there's 3 tight ends that they can run out there that you would be hard-pressed to say they're not running the ball, and they all catch the ball just as well, right? And so that alone kind of makes an offense very scary of how do you play them, where do you play them, do you play the run, do you play the pass? I think that alone kind of puts the fear of God into a lot of coaches because you just don't know what they're going to do.
They're in a big formation, but they have 3 pass catchers that can go.
And they're all huge. They're all like really, really, really big.
Yep.
They all can block.
Yeah. I mean, as much talk as there is about Brock Bowers. Yeah, I know. I'll be interested to see how the Eric Gilbert thing kind of develops.
Us too.
I think everyone.
Us too. Us too. I swear to God.
Us too.
That would be the ultimate troll. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, like as good as Brock Bowers is, and as much publicity as he gets, like Darnell Washington, I think is kind of the scarier of the two, just because like he's built like a slim offensive tackle. He's dominant as a run blocker. And then,
hey, is his number 0 bigger than it should be? Like, did they make it bigger just so it could fit him?
It looks huge.
Did they make it bigger so it could fit him?
It's just an intimidation thing, I guess. I don't know. I mean, the dude wears a basketball jersey really instead of a football jersey. But I mean, like, he all of a sudden gets the ball in his hand. They'll run like a lot of these little play action kind of boots with Bennett, and Washington will just kind of creep out in these little, flat routes a few yards past the line. And if nobody's there, they flip it to him and he gets into the open field and starts rolling, and it's problematic for defense. Rolling. But yeah, I mean, on the wide receivers, I would say I agree with you on the whole. I think Ladd McConkey's a little underrated just because he's not physically imposing, but we've seen over the last couple of years, like Georgia run some of these heavy 12 personnel sets where they'll put those big tight ends out there and they'll put him alone outside. And if you get him in one-on-one coverage and you get enough time from a pass protection standpoint for him to run a double move, like he has burnt some very good corners over the last 2 seasons. So that's kind of another element of this. Even if the run game is working, like I don't know. I think Georgia will try not to make things quite as hard on themselves. And they have had a little bit of a difficult time in the red zone the last couple of weeks. So there may be a desire to try and score from far, especially early in this game, just to kind of assert, a lead and set the tone a little bit. Like Georgia's a very game script focused team.
Y'all are fucking
and I guess
loaded.
what I mean by that is just like, well, yeah, but I mean, they really, I mean, yeah, it helps when you're very talented. You normally get a lead, right? But like, if you kind of look at how Kirby wants to play a football game, it's very much as you described, right? Like come out early, throw the ball around a little bit, and then in the second half, I want to attempt like maybe 6 passes max, and 5 of those in the third quarter. Like they just really, I think, like to, I mean, like that Kentucky game a couple weeks ago I think it was 9-3 at halftime or something like that. Like Georgia fans were, freaking out on social media, and like my thought was like, no one loves a 9-3 halftime game more than Kirby Smart. Like this, right. Like he would do this every week if he could.
Oh, and speaking of McConkey, what's your comp for him going to the NFL?
I mean, I was gonna say it, but
I'd like for Graham to say it.
Oh man, I mean,
the The Hunter
There's a
Renfro
little
comp.
Hunter Renfro. Yeah. I mean, he's a little more agile than Renfro.
I was going to say Randall Cobb. It's weird y'all picked it.
I mean, there's a little like Wes Welker in him, just in terms of, I think he's a little better in the screen game.
But he's bigger than
maybe
Wes,
Renfro
right?
is. Not much. I mean, he's 5'10", so, I guess Welker was what, like 5'8"? Is he that short?
Yeah, probably. Julian Edelman.
Yeah, but
He's 6 feet tall.
I mean, there's a reason that.
Wayne Corbett. Somewhere in that mold.
Yeah, there's a reason he's
Wayne was nice back in the day.
Vince Papali.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I mean, like, there's a reason he returns punts, though. And it's just that, like,
Must be nice.
he's really good at creating space in tight quarters.
Yep.
And, I mean, like, I think a lot of people kind of underestimate the dude, but there's been a lot of plays this season where he's kind of taken taken nothing and turned it into something. Like, if you get him in space, he can make guys miss. And I mean, dude, he made Oregon look silly at times on a few occasions. Like, and they will run in arounds and stuff with him. So
Play defense there.
Yeah, no, they don't. Not really. They still made him look silly.
I'm kidding.
I mean, we know, first one in, last one out. McConkey. But I do, if from an LSU perspective, if you had to find an avenue for an upset on our end, what makes you nervous going up against an LSU team? Obviously a dud against A&M, but everything going into this game, it felt like it was going to be one for, at least on the LSU side, a chance to play for a playoff. Yeah. So there still are a live dog. If you're a Georgia fan or if you cover Georgia, what makes you nervous about LSU?
I mean, I think the defensive line and that group of pass rushers, including Perkins, obviously, has been really good all year. And, like, you look at just sort of anatomy of upsets, and it usually happens at the line of scrimmage, right? For all the talk that, we have about downfield matchups and all that. Like, if that defensive line can make things hard on Georgia running the football at times, and then, get Georgia, like the book on Stetson throughout 2021, right, was like, get him in 3rd and long and he'll kind of melt down. He's been really good on, 3rd and 6+ situations this year, like top 5 in the country good, but he hasn't faced a ton of them. Like, Georgia's been really great at staying on schedule. So I think that's the thing, man, is like, get them, win on 1st down and try and get Georgia into obvious passing situations with that defensive line. I think that's scary for any offense as good as those pass rushers are.
Graham, listen, I appreciate you coming on the show. I hope, for our sake, that because y'all are gonna be in the playoff anyway, so y'all don't need this. We need this for the longevity of our program. So,
I'm hurt.
For our sake, I hope that we upset y'all. For, maybe just a good game. We do it at the end, maybe a little kick to win it or something crazy. But man, I appreciate you coming on the show, and you gave us more insight than we would know about Georgia. So I appreciate it, man, and good luck this weekend.
Absolutely, no, tons of fun, and always I've got good buddies that are from Baton Rouge area. I always enjoy LSU fans, so
nice.
Hope to see you guys in Atlanta.
Yeah, we'll hopefully we show out. I enjoy Athens a lot too, so maybe this new whatever they do at the SEC. Hopefully LSU and Georgia play a lot more, so I can go and visit Athens. Yeah,
it'd be nice to go to Baton Rouge once a decade.
No doubt, man. All right, enjoy the rest of the week. And, appreciate it again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, man.
Lloyd trying to break the mic when he throws you the football.
I think he was aiming at the mic.
Yeah.
I mean, you listen to Graham, and it doesn't sound like he's.
It
doesn't sound like he's very confident we have a chance. See,
I'd rather that.
No. That's my point, because I do, like Graham's saying that. I know what the coaches are going to be saying in this situation, but we're talking about 18 and 19 and 22-year-old kids that they know, bro. Like they're in. They know they're in.
I think it matters. Obviously, we talked about it, but It's human nature.
There you go.
And you just never know.
Now, can you get the group of captains to be locked in?
Right.
Yeah. But can they get their position groups and the rest of those guys to be locked in all week long to do what they need to do? That's the real question.
Hey, what's the recipe to winning? Throw the ball deep, hope for some pass interferences, maybe get some catches and make some missed tackles.
That sounds like that sounds like a mid-major.
That's what I was going to say. He didn't sound confident at all. They're the number one team in the country. They had lost in 2 years. He's like, well, just throw it down there, see what happens.
Yeah, maybe you get lucky and get some PIs. That doesn't give us much of a shot.
Like Toledo.
Doesn't sound like us. Give us much of a shot, I think.
Right. We'll see.
Listen,
I'm not surprised though. Like,
of course, I'm glad they're confident. Listen, we talked to the A&M guys; they weren't confident at all.
Yeah.
At A&M, and look what
I'm
happened.
not surprised.
Right? I think that this game matters, and I know the playoff implications aren't there, but I think for the guys on the team and what they heard going into the season about how good they were or how good they weren't going to be. And, the expectations weren't very high. They were supposed to finish, last or if not second to last in the SEC. Brian Kelly was going to make a change, but it was going to take him some time. They were in a bad spot. I think all of that, this game, regardless of the playoff implications, means a lot to the guys in LSU, right? Like, this is the way that they can go out and say, you know what? Fuck you, basically. Right? Like, we're going to go out here and, like, y'all said all this stuff. We didn't have a good game against A&M. We're going to come out here and we're going to play good and we're going to win the game and we're going to be SC champions and we're going to look at you and say, hey, fuck off.
And not just that, truth be told, like, seasons that as far as for mattering, like, it's kind of over.
Right.
So if it didn't matter, you would see those guys who have a chance to go on, might maybe possibly say, hey, I'm out, I'm not playing. You got none of that going on. This shit matters to them.
Yeah, it matters.
And they're going to play this ball game.
Listen, you have the ability to put yourself in a position. My phone vibrate. I'm sorry.
It should matter to them.
Jesus.
It should matter to them too.
You mean I look like that? It should matter to them, and I think that winning this game, going 10-3 before the bowl game, and then getting put in a bowl game that's a New Year's Six. Like that's a very successful. Only 4 people go to the playoff right now. Like, that's a very successful year.
For the people who don't understand how this thing goes, because you touched on it, but there's really 3 things that you put at the start of the year, at the start of, really, honestly, truthfully, before you even get to spring practice, of things you want to do. You want to win the SEC West, you want to win the SEC, and you want to win a national championship, right? At this school, right? So with that being said, like, the work that you've done, the work that you do, all that time is to accomplish 3 goals. Well, you won't have the chance to accomplish one of them. But one has been done, and the other one's still on the board. So this game matters to those guys a lot more than what people would think it would be. I understand how bad they looked, quote unquote, last week. This is a rebound game for not only the guys that's coming back next year, but for the guys that are leaving. Like, I will ride off with this thing with an SEC championship.
Put me in that room. You've been there where goals get taken away, and now you have to reset a little bit to where it's obviously these goals were laid out, but Les Miles had the link in the chain and all of that stuff, and you get to this point. How hard is it to reset if you're a player on the team? Is that coaching or is it just mindset?
No, it's just mindset. I really do think I think that group of, judging off of what we've seen so far this year, I think that group of players kind of have a bad taste in their mouth, especially the defensive side of the ball. Have a bad taste in their mouth of what just happened at A&M, and they don't want that to be the lasting thought of what you saw from them here.
Because there's
and in this season.
Because I'm not trying to be this person, but there's a chance where LSU loses to A&M, which you didn't want to happen, but everybody knew it was a possibility because if they put it all together like they did, they're one of the most talented teams in the country. Yes. Then you go to Georgia and you lose in the SEC championship, and depends on how it looks, that might not be great. And then you go to a bowl game, and then what? Like, here's
my thing: the last 2 games. No, it doesn't matter. The last 2 games, like, if you lose the last 2 games that are bonus games that you're playing, like, that doesn't matter. You're the SEC runner-up.
Co-champs.
What?
SEC West co-champions now.
Regardless, you're going to the SEC champion. You're the champs of the SEC. If there's co-champs, that Georgia has to play 2 teams on the field.
No, I'm saying now LSU
saying
is the SEC West co-champions.
Yeah, but they're going to the SEC championship game, so in my mind, they're the champs. SEC West champs. Like, other team can't go
Hang
and
the
play.
banner.
I mean, they can't go and play, right? They're not playing in the championship game. Who's playing in the championship game? LSU. They're the champs. I don't give a fuck what the record says. Nothing. But you're playing in this game against the team. Like, you go ahead and you lose to the team that's favored to beat you. Like, that should not be looked down upon as like, oh, you're a failure because you lost 2 in a row. Yeah, it sucks, but you're playing a game that if they ended the season at 9-3, didn't make the team, great. I mean, didn't make the SEC championship, great, fine, awesome year. That should be put that way, right? Now you go to the championship game, you're rewarded for having a good year. You go ahead and lose. Like, that doesn't, to me, like, that doesn't
I'll say this.
take away from what you did during the regular season.
You're not wrong,
But
but I do think, and maybe this has been brought up too inside that locker room. If you were to lose out the next 2 games you're going to play, because there's 2 on the schedule.
Right. You go 9-5.
And you have a 5-loss season, I do think those guys think that looks – we did way too much for the season to look like that.
Right. The perception of it is worse than what the actual reality of it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it looks worse than it actually is. It's basically
and at the end of the day, like, let's be honest, like, I think there's some pride in there being like, we ain't letting it look like
exactly.
that's what I'm hoping for.
Exactly.
Like, that's what you want to see.
But I think that's
I do too, because
why did A&M play so hard?
because
I ain't going out like this.
Exactly. Right? Like, hey, it's your last game. You're playing at home. This is senior night. The whole deal. We've had a bad season. We don't want to embarrass ourselves. We're going to go and ruin someone else's year. We're not technically going to ruin Georgia's year, but you can put them in a harder spot, make their route a little bit more difficult, and you go out there and you say, hey, listen, we got all these guys coming back. We got this program that we're building. Look at where we're at. We had some hiccups, but we are way further along down the line than we thought we were going to be. Or anybody else thought we were going to be.
And
Maybe not we, y'all.
If they got some dogs on that team, they are really going to enjoy the opportunity of going
Fuck
in
that
there.
thing up.
No. Going in there where no one thinks they have a chance at all, and it is literally a sea of red and black. And here we are. Let's just go dance. I think they're going to enjoy that opportunity.
Permission to speak freely?
Always. Whenever I censored you.
That's true. How bad did that suck on it? I know we're not supposed to be partial, but we're all LSU fans.
Permission
today.
to speak freely is, bro, I'm going to be honest with you, like, the way I saw the game was...
Oh, we're LSU fans, but just, you know.
Yeah. The way I saw the game was, I'll be honest, I was highly surprised at how well and often and over again A&M was able to run the ball.
Yep.
Right? I saw kind of what I expected to see.
Me too.
I knew they weren't going to be able to run.
Hard.
I knew they were going to play hard. We all know they're really talented. There's 2 plays to me that completely changed that game. And we talked about this Friday, right? We talked about, man, if A&M gets some lucky bounces and some balls that rolls their way, it could be really tough. Well, you got that in the fumble that was returned for a touchdown. The other play for me that was huge was the 3rd down play.
The 2 of them.
The holding 3rd down
that
play.
one too. 3 of them.
Later after
3 of them.
that was not – if you go back and
Such
watch
a
that
bad
game,
call.
if you go back and watch the game, the white hat, the actual referee, was literally trying to tell the other guy, like, I think it's actually an umpire in football.
Yeah.
I think he was actually trying to tell him, like, that's not a good call. And they couldn't do it. If you go back and watch
The
it,
one on Emory Jones.
I think he was trying the holding and then exactly.
And that's what Brian Kelly
And
was
I
like.
think those 2 plays right there.
He did
He's like-
exactly that. He gave him the...
Those 2 plays right there is for me is like, hey, they stayed in it long enough, which we were hoping they wouldn't. They got the fumble and they got that call that completely took us out of it. And I think those 2 plays literally just rolled it out, and that's where the game was completely changed.
No doubt. And they ran the ball a lot better, like you said, a lot better than I thought they were going to run the ball against us. I thought, okay, hey, listen, we're going into halftime. We didn't play good at all. We didn't play well. We're going to come back in the second half. Boom, 3 and out. Boom, go down there. I'm like, okay.
Score, yeah.
Here we go. 3 and out again. Here we go. Stalled out, right? Stalled out. And then at that point,
No,
then
I
it's
think
like,
that's when you got the fumble, right?
Yeah, it was in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, that was the fumble.
That's when you got the fumble.
LSU was about to run away with that football game.
Yep.
And that's what...
you're about to tie the game, or did you tie the game?
No, you're about to take the lead.
You're about to take the lead. That's right. And
Like,
you
we're
fumbled
driving there, fumbled it. Really, you were about to take the lead. Now you really put yourself down by 2 possessions again. And then I don't know if it was the next drive or the one after that is when you got the holding call. And I was like,
boy, it's tough now.
It's
No doubt, and but you're
It's
giving up
tough.
these big chunk plays in the running game, and it's like, man,
And-
that is just demoralizing after everything.
And then, like I said, that's when the wheels fell off. Is because those two plays happened, and then I felt like I was watching the damn Florida State game all over again, where you get the one-handed touchdown catch. I'm like, what can't go wrong? Like this is the ball
one-handed
rolling
touchdown
their
catch
way.
Where he's literally like
Draped over.
I have no idea how he misses the ball.
Well, you
Like,
get
he
you
literally
got that
misses
play.
like that.
So you got that play. You got the one, but this, I'm forgetting. You got the touchdown catch on the same drive where there was, I think, a big third down conversion where it was
Dre Jenkins.
no by them. It was a third down conversion they had where it was literally a ball that was missed. Great coverage.
Oh, you're talking about the
couldn't
zone covers, the
you couldn't
linebacker.
have better
Yes.
coverage. Ball dropped right in the spot over. I'm like, bro, this is
That's
what
what
it
you
looks like.
said, like, I don't
This
know
is
how he
what
got
it
that
looks
ball
like
there.
when the ball is bouncing their way.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like right here.
Then you go through the whole thing, right? And you're trying to make that last ditch effort, come back. You're going, and you're about to stop him. And he throws the ball deep, and he makes the other play off for Sage Ryan. And you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, all over it. Because, like, obviously, you're still a long shot, but you stop him there. You get the ball back. There's, like, 5 or 6 minutes left in the game. You have a chance. Then you go all the way down. I still think that was a touchdown to Dre Jenkins.
I was about to bring that up.
I think that he was in bounds.
What are your thoughts?
So I mean, I thought I was like, man, he got 2 feet down. I was like,
Oh, he
man,
needs one?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I think he got 2, but I was like, you're like, man, he got feet down. Man, I don't know. You know, he didn't survive the ground. Then they came out and stated, if you are not
Upright.
falling, if you were an upright player when you catch it, you don't have to survive the ground. Well, I go, well, I don't know what else an upright player looks like if that's
He's not
not an
getting-
upright. He wasn't getting pushed. He wasn't leaning. He was literally standing up there, caught the ball, and then he got touched. I'm like, I get it. You're on the road. Y'all don't want to reverse this, but that's if that ain't an upright player.
And
I don't know
even
what
then,
is.
like, it's not saying that lost the game because you still had a long way to go. You had to go get the onside kick, and then you had
it didn't lose the game, but
I think you would have kicked that deep. You had 3 timeouts left.
Yeah.
at the
That's what I
time.
was about to say.
And so, like,
that call to me is
indicative of what the whole game was.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it reminds me of, I guess the best example is the Des Bryant catch in the playoffs, right? Like
Or Calvin Johnson.
that is I get it. You gotta have the letter of the law of what a catch is, but go find someone that tells me that's not a catch. That's a
and
catch.
even that one, like, he's falling down. So I guess the letter of the law is he wasn't upright. This one, he was upright.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, when I see just, hey, that's a catch,
Yeah.
right? Like, the letter of the law is, like, it's an upright player. Okay, well, that's an upright player.
It's a catch.
He caught it. He got pushed. Then he took another step out of bounds, and that's when he
And
fell.
put the ball down.
That's when he fell. That's when the ball comes out. So I'm like, wait, that's a catch.
Right.
When you see Des Bryant, that's a catch, right? Like, I don't know. That was when you watched.
And I don't want to be that person.
No, when you watched after the holding call is when you saw everything that could have gone pretty much wrong for LSU went wrong. Every pass that needed to be put literally in a basketball hoop was put in a basketball hoop by them and caught. I mean,
Well,
there it goes.
Listen, they played a perfect game. They had the perfect storm. They had everything go their way. Like, it was just.
And I want to
one of
remind
those
people.
games.
I want to remind people. I get it. It sucks. They were 4-7 coming in, but we knew this is a highly, highly talented team with a staff that's highly, highly motivated to get these guys to play well in this game, and probably a bunch of players who were highly motivated to go out on a high note. It was a very bad combo for them to be in that
storm.
situation.
And you got down, and they had all the momentum, and it was tough. I was disappointed because it didn't feel like A&M made that many changes at halftime offensively.
They
right?
didn't. They just dominated.
And they just
dominated
dominated.
the
And
offensive
that's
side
what
of the ball.
frustrates me.
That was, I would say, frustrates me. Yeah, but that was the most surprising part because you really haven't seen it like that all year.
Right. No doubt.
From the defense, like
No doubt.
literally all year. But
What do you
they
think?
kind of did what we said they do. They took those 2 absolutely star rush ins and they said, "Hey, we're coming right at you. You don't get to rush.
You have to play.
Field blocks, play your gaps, do your stuff," and they blew open holes that way, dude.
And that's the one thing I don't really want to talk about because, I mean, I don't think Kirby Smart's listening to this, but you saw how to take Harold Perkins
Why not?
out of
He
a
knows.
football game.
Yeah, but Jared told you how to take him out before the game even started.
I know. That's why I didn't want us to talk
I
about
think
it.
People knew it. If Jared
first
seen,
time
like,
we've seen it been like
Well, no,
seen
no.
it done.
What this
Yeah, because
is,
it was
but this
the
is
first
the thing
time
here. Because
Harold
that's
just
because,
came on the scene,
but
like,
wait,
like being
that
started.
happened because that's called. Now you saw his youth,
Right.
Because even if you translate this to even like NFL football, like when you watch the truly like dominant rush ins, the Von Millers, the TJ Watts, all those guys.
Go at 'em.
You know when they become that
Pedestrian?
really up? No. You know when they really become that upper echelon guy, when they really go to this, is when they can play the run as well.
Yeah.
And they're not just pin my ears back. That's all I have. When they can play the run as well, it's like, well, we don't know what to do because we can't just run it right at them. It's not saying that Harold will never be able to do it. It's not saying that BJ will never be able to do it. But that's what they got. They said, hey, they had the offensive talent and guys to do it, and they did it. And they were not able to stop the bleeding when they did that.
I mean, A-Chain is
He's good.
He milked that. I mean, I've never seen anybody limp more in my life.
I mean, he's probably banging. He
didn't limp between whistles. I can tell you.
Yeah,
that.
no doubt. No doubt.
What do you think? What do you think A&M was on third down?
Well, I know in the first half there were 6 of 7. Now, that was I think all 6 of them, or at least 5 of the 6. They're within 1 or 2 yards.
Yeah.
So they were all like short. The one they didn't get, that was the only time on the first half that we had them in the back. I would imagine 10 of 14.
10 of 15. Wow, 10 of 15. You're good at this.
That's a pretty good percentage. I'm saying everything went their way.
What do you think LSU was?
I mean, in the first half they weren't terrible. They had a few drops. I would say that they were probably under 40% at the end of the game.
4 of 11. So which is under 40%, I would imagine. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah. 40%
4 of 10 is 40%.
4 of 10,
so,
yeah.
387.
But the reason I bring that up is obviously there's some penalties on LSU's side, but it's the LSU outrushed them.
What?
Like 32 attempts for 5.8 yards. A&M had 50 touches for 5.5.
Wait, yards per carry.
That's what I'm saying. Like we were doing the same thing, and the time of possession is LSU 28, A&M 31. They just made the big plays when they had to, and the 10 of 15 is why I think that was.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the recipe of beating teams. No turnovers.
And I'm not here to shit on Kyron Lacey, but those two drops
it was very unfortunate.
Brutal.
It was very brutal.
Yeah, they were great. I mean, he knows
that. That's how
what made me feel bad. I wanted to cry. That man put his hands on his head.
Yeah, but like that's how you get beat in those games. You get upset. You get upset because the team is getting the ball. It's not getting off. You're not getting them off the field. They're continuing to get drives. They're keeping a short field. They're running the football, so they're not giving you the ball back.
Out of the clock.
Yeah, and they're scoring points, and that's how you do it. They're not turning the ball over. They're not giving it back to you. Like that's just what happens. And they played a perfect game, and every bounce went their way, and that's what happens.
How many carries do you think A-Chain had?
He had 32, 35.
38.
He had almost 20 in the first half.
38 for 5 a clip. It's tough.
That's
It's tough to beat someone when they do that. If I can give it to one guy 38 times, and he's going to get 5 a pop,
that's game.
Tough.
We got other guys that on offense.
I tell you what I would like to see going forward in the future, whether it's this year or next year. I would love to see our offense evolve into having more like crossers over the middle where the receiver is running in stride, right? Mm-hmm. We had a lot of plays, a lot of receivers, a lot of routes that were, hey, we're going to do this curl route. We're going to do this little comeback route. We're going to do this. And it's, hey, run the route, turn around, catch it.
I'll say this.
Shoulders looking at me, and you're going to try to make the move.
So, time out. I'll say this. I don't disagree at all.
Right.
What I've grown to kind of learn, I guess, and this is probably post my playing days as well, which will tell you a lot, right? What I've kind of grown to learn a lot about those is you're asking very young players to do a lot.
For sure.
On the fly.
Yeah.
In the sense of, hey, if we're running crossers are not just crossers. Right? What happens? If there's zones,
you have to sit.
We're sitting. If they're mans, you keep running.
Right.
That's a lot of confusion, a lot of balls that could be flying right into its linebacker's chest. That's a lot going on. I just think like, yes, a lot, but name me an offense right now on the top of your head in college football where you're like, they do that.
Yeah, right. This year, not many. Now, that's why I said moving forward, because you're having a new scheme, you're having a team, and like you have to learn it.
Well, you're saying moving forward, like that's what I'm saying. Like I just think you're asking a lot of a college kid, a young kid, to be able to come in. Think about it. Think about 2019.
We didn't cross. We beat you vertically all
You're right.
the time.
You're right.
That's asking a lot out of young kids to be able to see that. Oh, that safety sitting. Oh, that linebacker played here. Okay, I need to hook it up right here.
The only way
okay, I need to keep going. You
The
get what I'm saying?
crossing
Like, that's a
routes,
lot.
the crossing routes in college succeed because the offensive coordinator calls at the right time and it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to make the receivers aren't making the decision. Hey, are they in zone or are they in man? Like, hey, they're gonna be in man or okay, they're not in man. Hey, look at the sideline. We're gonna change their play. You know what I mean?
And I just think in college, the more frequent you call crossers, it is becoming a very dangerous game about how many times you're going to get it right. It's just tough. It's tough.
Right.
It's a lot.
Especially when you put together how LSU's constructed, right? You have Jaden Daniels, who wasn't here, Mike Denbrock, who wasn't here, Brian Kelly, who wasn't here.
Yeah, it's going to take time.
And then you have your best player on offense, allegedly, that isn't practicing all year.
Right.
Like, so all of it, like, it all confluxes together to where it's
a
of
lot
course
of
this is
time.
going to happen. Then you have Kyron Lacey, you just throw him out there 2 times. And it's like, it can get jumbled.
Right.
With all that said, I am extremely happy with what I saw from John Emery. And there's still some flashes. If they hit that wheel
John
that
Emery's
they
good.
tried to, like, that's the play that LSU has hit twice.
Can't miss it.
They missed it, and that was part of what cost you the game too.
I look back on that 12 game that 12 game span you had right there, and to me I see like 2 huge moments of the season, right? One where one team figured out how to phase Harold Perkins off the field. Tennessee did. Lost big. 2, the next team figured out, can't get him off the field anymore. You're going to have to go right at him. Lost big.
And here's the deal. What happened after the first one? LSU made the
no,
adjustment,
they made the
figured out how to
adjustment.
put them both
Exactly.
on the field. So now
It's become two, and look, BJ was part of this one too, but it's become 2 huge points of 2 teaching lessons in the season, right? That cost him 2 games, but it's also one, like you said, moving forward for this game and for the rest of Harold's career as he's learning stuff and going on. Like those are 2 huge teaching points of learning how to play that position and learning how to be in that situation.
And you know what? They made the adjustment the first time. I'm hoping they make the adjustment the second time. Whether it is as obvious as it can be, this game, like this is a tough one to say, okay, he's changed, right? Now, but he's going to learn from it because it seems like you tell him to do something, he catches on quick, right?
Because here's what I don't have the film, dude. Like I haven't watched the film. I don't know how many times this happened, but there's a lot of discipline in learning that, hey, this in or this tackle block down, you cannot fly up the field because you won't get to the play. You're going to have to take on this pulling guard. There's a lot of discipline in thinking and telling a young kid, I know you think you're Superman and you're pretty fucking close to it, but you're not going to beat this down the field.
Yep.
So if you keep trying to beat it down the field, they're just going to wash you out, and this hole is going to be as big as
You're running yourself out the play.
You're running yourself out the play, and you're running them into a first down every time. I don't know how many times it happened, but I would imagine if it didn't happen that way, the way he took on maybe some of these blocks, open some of these things, and it's just if you haven't been in that situation, dude, you don't know, right?
He's just
how many
playing.
like he was playing in high school last year? How many 6'5", 330-pound linemen did he see coming across there? Not many.
And
Not many.
To your
and when he saw if he saw these plays, I'm taking you on because I'm bigger and better than you.
Right.
Like he hasn't had those situations. It's new. That shit's new.
And to your point, Kasky did this last week where he broke down the Arkansas game, and Perkins, and I'm not trying to shit on him.
No, it's not at all.
It's youth.
This is a teaching point. Yeah,
right.
not at all.
But he was like, he keeps undercutting this block, and he's like, people are going to see this on film, and this is a way to be able to neutralize him from the game because he keeps cutting up because he's so athletic.
They're like, okay, we'll let you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll let you. Yeah, run
Go
yourself out
ahead,
the
yeah.
play.
We're
We'll
gonna take
wash
your
you
strength
down.
and turn it into a weakness.
We're
for
gonna
game.
make this a weakness, and then once we get your feet to slow down, then we'll go back to what we wanted to do. That's all. That's the game.
It's not bad.
It's the game, dude.
But
It's
that's
the
learning.
It's
You
the
learn,
game.
dude.
That's literally all it is. So I think that's kind of a good bit of what happened.
Everybody adjust. Every game, every sport is a game of adjustments, right? Hey, we have to adjust to figure out how to get him on the field all the time because one team made the adjustment of not having him on the field. Okay, we've made that adjustment. Now this scheme has been working. Schematically, we are better with him and Ojulari on the field. Okay, now the other team that we played made the adjustment. Okay, if they're going to play him every snap on defense, how do we neutralize him? Okay, now they made the adjustment. Now it's up to him. It's like baseball, man. If somebody has a scouting report on you and you keep filling it up, and you can't make the adjustment, you're going to suck.
Yep.
If you make the adjustment, the
Fuck you,
pitchers,
Joe
they're
Budden.
going to figure out, oh, okay,
Yep.
He did it. Now let's go back.
When you
let's
have
change it up.
you have guys like that who are literally like that's like a Harold's and BJ are like fucking Maseratis, right? And they can run and they can go, right? When you have those guys, the next level for them, guys that have that kind of ability, is learning when
To
right?
go.
Because you watch like, and I keep bringing this back, I guess, to NFL football, but you watch like a TJ and like a Von Miller and all these guys, like they'll end the season with a sack or more per game, right? They're probably on pace for that right now, but you can't phase them out the run game. They know when it's, hey, this is my time to go, and this is my time. I got to get home here. I can't do that every play. I can't do that. I got to be able to play discipline and in the scheme, and I got to know 3rd and 8's for me. I got to know
right.
3rd and 12's for me.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? 3rd and 5 is for me. I can't do that on 1st and 10, even though what they're
want
showing
to,
me
yeah.
and what I want to is that, you know?
I agree with everything you said. I agree with this game, right? I want to talk about, because we're getting close to the end of the show, right? I still want to talk about LSU, but I want to talk about what Brian Kelly was talking about in this presser. I'm reading some of these quotes, right? And we talk about, hey, the team is further along than everybody thought they were going to be. Part of that is because of the personnel and the players that we brought in. Part of the reason why you bring those players in is because you have good recruiting and you have good transfer portal, all that stuff. The portal is officially open on December 5th. Some guys have announced already that they're in the portal, but by the 5th, you'll start seeing a widespread exodus of players around college football. Where are they going? Where they're leaving from? Nobody knows yet. Who's going to be in the portal? We don't know, right? I thought this was interesting because, obviously Brian Kelly is a very smart guy. He understands the atmosphere of college football now, where it is, and the landscape of it. And, he's talking about how our situation right now is a little different than most teams. He said, a lot of teams that didn't make their conference championship games are out there recruiting, doing their thing. We obviously are playing another game. So we can't be out there on the road. I think the recruits that we're recruiting understand that.
Right.
You gain the fact that, hey, we're going to be in the SEC championship game as a positive. It's another game to watch them on the field. But he did what I thought was the more interesting topic is he openly brought up the transfer portal. And he says they want to be able to recruit, or we want to be able to recruit our own roster as well. And basically he's saying that by setting his rosters, balancing your own roster, evaluating team exit interviews, doing those kinds of things while you're still recruiting, keeping an eye on the portal, right? Here's what, and we talked about this a little bit before the show off air, and I bring that up because we talked about people are starting to not panic, but you're starting to hear rumblings. Oh, man, this guy decommitted. Darren Reed decommitted. He's a 4-star defensive tackle. He decommitted. He's going to Auburn. He committed to Auburn before Auburn had officially what are you doing? Oh, Pels.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
No, it's okay. He's like, what was I saying? You distracted me.
He decommitted
Yeah,
to
people
Auburn.
get.
So Darren Reed decommitted going to Auburn. He committed to Auburn without Auburn having a head coach, right? That's where he wanted to go. He went there, right? We had another kid decommit from Indianapolis. I said, and I have no basis of, I haven't heard this from inside the program. I haven't talked to Shea Dixon. I haven't talked to any recruiting expert or anything. Me, as an athlete, looking at that and reading that.
Former
athlete.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm still
Once
an athlete.
one, always.
Still an athlete. You know what I mean?
Shit, I'm an athlete then.
See me on the court.
Former.
I should have played basketball.
See me on the court.
As an athlete, I look at that and I read that, and the first thing that pops in my head, initial reaction is, oh, the coaching staff must have had a conversation at some point. This didn't just happen because LSU lost A&M, is my point. This happened. This has been an ongoing thing. This guy probably was thinking about doing this for a while. He lives closer to Auburn than he does LSU. He's been committed to LSU since July. You have people in the portal or not going to be in the portal from your own team that are going to stay or come. Plus, you have a recruiting class that has been very good with other guys out there still uncommitted that are high targets for LSU. In my head, when I read that, I was like, oh, these guys are leaving because I think they see the writing on the wall that there may not be a room or space for them in the class coming in. I said I have no basis or bearing of saying that. That was my initial gut reaction on when I saw that. So to me, there's just no room to panic on that. And listening to this quote makes me a little bit more confident in, okay, these guys are leaving. There's a reason. I'm not as worried about them leaving because, they're not getting recruited well.
I think, much of the recruiting, I personally think today much of recruiting is made too public and way too much before signing day. You're going to lose some. You're going to gain some that you didn't have early. That's just the game of it. This has always been a thing. For me, when it comes down to it, it's like I get it. You see it. It's publicized. It's out there. But let's see where you are once we actually make it to signing day.
I agree.
As far as for the class. So, those things are what they are. You may 100% be right on that. You may be wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not saying that is the reason. I'm just saying that was my gut initial reaction.
Yeah.
This is coming in from Hunter Fournette from the chat. Let's see where we were. Oh, Reed is apparently a big NIL guy, and then Mickens wanted to stay home because his dad just passed away, so he's trying to stay at home. That's what I'm saying. But I think there's a lot of merit to what you're saying, to where LSU is still in the hunt for a ton. I don't want to say a ton, 2 or 3 guys where we might have to make room, and this is actually could be good news in terms of they need 2 corners. You saw what happened without Bernard Converse out there. They had to move Jay Ward down to corner. And then that's how they kind of got exposed a little bit because he couldn't walk up and play safety. Sage Ryan gets busted a couple of times, even though he played it right. It happens.
Yeah.
But he wasn't beat. He just got lost.
I would vow to say it was
Great
perfect coverage.
Perfect coverage.
He turned around. He was right on him. He went inside. He went out of whatever arm, the wrong arm basically to give you the longer length. Ball's there. Plays made. It's tough.
I wish Muhammad had been wearing sleeves, so he wouldn't have had to play. Jimbo.
I wish he wasn't Muhammad. He probably wouldn't have made the play.
How is he? He's different than his dad.
Hey,
bro,
that was good.
No, but Musin Muhammad,
it's a different ball player.
Between the legs. I'm saying they played such a different game.
His dad was a long, lanky possession
receiver,
yeah,
like maybe the best ever in terms of
good.
possession.
Yeah.
Like third.
Actually, it's funny you say that you know Musin, but you don't know Mikie Mahtook. I'm pretty sure
I do know Mikie Mahtook.
I'm pretty sure they played together.
You brought it up, and I was like, okay, it came back to me. Okay, it was a name I hadn't heard in a long time.
You can't forget that one though when you hear.
I feel dead.
Brian Kelly said, he's talking about the portal. Who wants to come back? Who wants to go to the NFL? Basically saying like, hey, you go in the portal and you take care. Like, NFL looks at that shit too, right? They look at where you come from. We send a lot of guys to the NFL. Brian Kelly, I think, is doing a very good job of recruiting. That's my last thing on it. Is like, I'm with you. I think I was one of the guys in high school getting recruited for football that I was like an edge guy, right? Like I was a tweener. They weren't sure, not a lot of film, and it was, hey, wait and see if something happens and there's a scholarship offer, okay, right? But, like, not a lot of people can do that. And so, for me, it's like you said, a lot of things change. A lot of things, people come that aren't supposed to come, leave that aren't supposed to leave. Like, it just happens. A lot of things, there's a lot of shakeup.
Yeah, it's not the cleanest thing in the world. Like, recruiting is dirty business, and I feel like Coach O caught a lot of flack for this whenever he was, and this kind of what put LSU behind the 8 ball whenever Brian Kelly got here, is he was so quick, the way he handled recruiting in terms of, I'm pulling your, like, you don't have an offer anymore. Like, I don't feel like that's what LSU's doing this year, but it is hey, if you think you have a different, like a better opportunity somewhere, take it, because, I mean, LSU did it with Cam Akers. Whenever you start looking at it, and that's how they missed out on Travis Etienne. Like, you have to pick and choose your spots, and sometimes you're going to be wrong, but I feel like Brian Kelly and what they've done, and I was the biggest critic of anybody in terms of how they were recruiting. However, they seem to have figured it out, and I don't think that Deron Reed announcement, it doesn't bother me. We're not where Auburn is. Like, they need him. LSU's going to be okay. You still have Quincy Wiggins, who hadn't played more than 4 games yet. Like, LSU is going to be okay. They're setting themselves up to take chances on players, like 5 stars. And that's what you
see,
can do because
and
they can
I
do
want
that
to
because
chances of them coming or not coming.
Right.
I thought you meant like chances of them being good or not.
No,
good.
I'll say
think
this.
that-
I think if that is the case, I don't want to say you're wrong because you just don't know what Reed will turn into. I think they're setting themselves up to have guys that are more impactful
right away.
right
No,
now.
and,
Yeah, me
no,
too.
I would say at positions of need, they're good on the defensive front.
No.
Yeah.
Which
Defensive
so-
line.
Yeah.
The
And,
defensive-
defensive front, like the
so
pass,
wait,
the
and
front
that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Is Reed going to come in and play next year? I'm not gonna say no, but odds are not in his favor. I think they're setting themselves up for guys that they think we need right now that can play right now for us. And
they need cornerback.
There you
help.
go.
You saw what happened when, like I said, when Bernard Converse was out. That changed kind of a little bit of how the game looked for LSU.
Right.
And so they're trying to get, and he's leaving. Every other corner is, Greg Brooks probably leaving. Jay Ward definitely leaving. Who do they have on the defensive backfield that you feel comfortable with? And they're like, no, we need to get you need Taviano. You need to get Ricks. You need to get these guys because they're going to play day one.
Absolutely.
And so they're trying to make some room and take some chances. And at some point, you have to do that. It's not
I
the
agree.
worst. It's not bad.
No, I don't think
I don't feel like it's dirty business.
we haven't lost a high-profile guy, and that's when you think that it's gonna get bad.
Yeah.
These guys are good. These guys are good, but we haven't lost any 3 of our 5-star, any one of our 3 5-stars, and the higher-profile guys. Don't worry about recruiting.
Yeah.
Speaking of recruiting,
I'm not.
Speaking of recruiting, little
Tidbit.
just
Segue.
move away from the football talk for just a little bit. When we talk about recruits, we talked about LSU baseball. Football season's coming down to an end a little bit. Talk about LSU. The top 100 collegiate prospects in this year's draft.
Who's number one? Who's number one?
Take a guess.
I'm gonna go with what's that guy from
Raleigh Cooper.
What's that guy from North Carolina? Hell no, we already know who it is.
We know who it is. Dylan
We
Cooper.
know who
Number
it
one.
is.
Number one, collegiate prospects. This does not mean he's projected one. No, he probably is. But collegiate prospects. Number 10, Paul Skeens.
The Gland.
Number 15,
The dark horse.
the dark horse. Number 15,
I thought that was you.
Grant Taylor.
Different horse.
Grant Taylor. So 3 of the top 15 college prospects, LSU. Number 44, Ty Floyd. Number 47, Trey Morgan.
So 5 of the top 50.
Number 67, Christian Little.
Who just may have enough ability to actually be way underrated.
Right. So, and that's just the collegiate guys that are ready this year. This isn't talking about Tommy Tanks. This isn't talking about Thatcher Hurd.
Yeah.
This isn't talking about all these other guys that we have coming. All these
Just the draft eligible guys.
Just the draft eligible guys. To me, that's what 1, 2, 3. That's 6 guys. All 6 guys have the potential to be in the first/supplemental round.
You keep hitting Tanks for LSU.
Huh?
Like the long-haired, the freshman.
The outfielder,
Uh-huh.
the guy that was on the show
Uh-huh.
from Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
His name is Paxton.
He is.
We talked about him, dude. I told you he gets off the show and I'm like, that
He's
kid's
got
got
it.
some moxie, man. He don't give a shit, man. He's gonna come in here and it ain't gonna be all bushy and bright eyed.
Hey, here's the
he
deal.
gets it. And watching his film that day too, when we had him on, you're like, man, that swing's long. Not long. He's long.
Yeah.
But that swing's easy and
Yeah.
kind of effortless, and he's gonna be able to create some leverage just because he's got a long frame. Put on a little weight on that, and man, that he could turn into a guy. He's gonna make some noise.
And here's
'cause
the
he's
deal.
an outfielder.
I want
He's gonna play.
and this guy that I'm gonna talk about got a little bit of a lot of criticism last year, especially early on, right? Jordan Thompson, right? A lot of people have that as a bad taste in mouth. The last part of last year was good for him. He played well.
He was hurt.
He was hurt for the beginning of half the year. Listen to me. The potential that he has to play defense, and if he can go out there and he can bang this year, he has a chance to shoot up. He has a chance to be a top 3 guy, top 3 rounder.
Yep.
Top 3 rounder, not top 3 drafted. The top 3 rounder. Which, listen, if you're drafted in the top 3 rounds, listen. Most teams have 1 pick in the first round, 1 pick in the second round, 1 pick in the third round. Most. That means you are the team's 3rd pick of the draft. In a draft that has 30 rounds or however many they have now, I don't know, they keep taking away picks. I don't know, but
What
That's
you
a
have to worry
big-
about? Your first rounder. You knew it was over.
That is but I was the second pick of us. It sucked. We had 10 guys between the first 60 picks. It was brutal.
Draft me.
It was brutal.
Grandma killed you.
Grandma got me.
Are you sure you want to play baseball?
Oh,
What'd she
they
say?
I says, well, Mikey, it don't look like they want you. Don't look like anybody wants you. I'm like, I
Thanks.
think you're right. It looks like that.
I feel the same
Yeah.
way right now.
Everybody laughed. It was great. It was great. Needed the levity in that moment. But my whole point is, these are the 6 guys that, no, listen, some of these guys may not have the year that they're supposed to have, and they don't end up becoming the player that you think that they're going to be. But I think most of them you pretty much know, like how they are, who they are. Listen, Christian Little hasn't had a lot of time playing. He hasn't had a lot of opportunity. You don't know. He has the ability to be really good. There's been a lot of guys with the ability to be good, and they haven't been good. So that's just one. I wanted to hit on that before.
I have a question for you when it comes to LSU baseball's roster.
Okay.
The amount of players they added and the amount of players that were on the team before that.
How many guys they have to get rid of?
Yeah.
I don't know that number, but there's some.
Yeah.
Because
So-
in the chat, they're saying Paxton Kling, who we were just talking about, Stevenson. Like,
I can tell you right now
There's
they're not
players
gonna,
that
they're not going to get rid of incoming freshmen.
No.
I know that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. But coach still has some very hard
Oh, yeah.
conversations to have.
Oh yeah, he's going to have, I'm guaranteeing you right now, which is
Fine.
usually indicative of very good teams, especially if you can stay healthy. He's going to have some guys that either can't travel or he's going to have to say, we don't have a spot
Or
for.
you're going to have guys that put the name in the portal and go somewhere else for the spring.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. They don't have a spot for that.
Yeah.
You're going to look at either next year or this year, either somewhere else or next year here, that you're going to be like, he could make it on this team? That's what's going to happen.
Like Christian Little, it's like, why are you leaving Vanderbilt to come to LSU? Like, there's those opportunities.
Yeah.
But I also think, in my mind, it is a lot of, damn, like, I might stay because LSU's, and it's not Vanderbilt by any means, but you have the top situation where, I mean, who did it that batted 400? Rafe. Like, take my scholarship. I don't care. I'm coming here anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well, Rafe didn't do that until he was in school.
That's what I'm saying. I know, but I'm saying, but there's going to be some of those guys like, I want to stick around on the team because I feel like we're going to do something special this year.
Yeah, I mean,
And you ain't Scully.
right.
But Rafe was also here a year before that, too.
And Rafe was also did not make the team.
Yeah.
The 2009 year because of how loaded we were, which
That's
is similar to what they have now, right? Like, it's just, there's going to be decisions that are going to be very hard, and, Jay's going to have to make those decisions.
That's why he's paid.
What?
That's why he's paid.
Yep, for sure. It's going to be interesting. I don't know. And listen, it may end up, there's some guys that may get hurt. Something may happen where, hey, you were going to redshirt, medical redshirt, whatever. I don't know how that works as far as, like, with the roster.
What a flex. Never had to worry about it.
Well, like, I don't know how, like, as far as having an overpopulated roster, like, I don't know if just because you're medically redshirted. I can't read that. No,
I can. No, I can't. What does it say?
Nothing. Just,
Damn.
Damn
I
it.
didn't know you couldn't read that. I
Damn
thought
it.
you'd be able to see it.
It was 3 letters.
It was.
LOL. I don't know. I don't know.
No, not at all. You're all right about that stuff, though.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Seggies?
Seggies.
Which one of these do you want me to pick?
I mean, we didn't really take. It was all LSU today, boys. All LSU football today.
Oh, yeah, I'm down bad.
Down bad.
I've never said the F word more in my life.
Tell you
Just
what.
After the game, I was just like, fuck.
I will tell you what. NFL better watch out for the Bengals. Boys are getting hot, and Jamar Chase is coming back.
I thought he broke his hip.
He didn't break. He was supposed to. He thought he was gonna be able to play this past weekend. He didn't. But
Well, because they also said that he has, because of his physical stature,
yeah,
he might heal faster.
literally,
He's like,
he is
That was
built
called
different.
Wolverine's blood.
Might. Yeah. I'm not surprised. That
Also, actually, no. That's my current call. I don't have the video. I need to put the video in there. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
No, don't do it because I know what you're doing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't you take it.
You're taking mine.
Don't you take
You're
it.
taking mine. The one I put in the group text, our other group text. The group me. No.
Okay, that's gonna be mine.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't you take it?
No.
I have a couple. Do we want to talk about Jerry Jones or should we leave that alone?
We're going to leave that alone.
Okay, me too.
We didn't touch on the CFP.
Huh? We did not?
No, not on the show. That's
that was
3 letters.
What we expect? Okay. Give me your top 5. In
My
the
top
CFP.
5.
Like, what do you think's
what's
going to be the top
happen
5
right now? It's going to be Georgia, Michigan, TCU,
USC has to be. Right?
Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC, and where it's going to get hairy at
5 and 6.
It's 5 and 6.
Always.
I think it's going to be, even though truthfully I don't agree with this, right? Like, you're only as good as the schedule that you play, right? But I think it's going to be Ohio State because they really want them in there, which is why I touched on how far they're going to fall and or not fall and how far LSU fell. And I think Alabama's going to be sitting right after with 2. I think the argument's going to be is that Alabama hasn't beaten anyone, but I think there's a much bigger argument, me personally, thinking that, hey, we're playing at home for a chance to basically cement our spot in the college football playoffs, and we get beat by 20. I think there's a bigger – I think that looks much worse than going to Tennessee, a hot-ass Tennessee, a reeling Tennessee, and losing by 3, and then going to Death Valley at night and losing in overtime by 1. That's just me. That's what
I get it. I'm with you. Go ahead. What do you think yours are going to be? Give me your top 5, top 6.
Georgia. Michigan.
Yep.
TCU. USC. I'm with you. I think USC is going to find their way in there. And because of the way that Michigan lost to Ohio State, where some of this is about timing, right? Like if LSU loses to Tennessee the way that they did this late in the year, you're kind of persona non grata. Like
right.
They want to kick you out. What happened to Ohio State whenever – I felt like everybody kind of expected them to do that to Michigan.
100%. 100%. I did.
I did too.
And I didn't say it to y'all, but before you even finish, I didn't say it to y'all. I literally texted Chris during the game, and I was like, this is probably either right before or like 2 minutes after halftime. And I'm like, I know the numbers on the board and the game is kind of close, but I'm like, Michigan's kind of stomping that ass right now. Like they're kind of boat racing them right now.
It looked like A&M LSU were like,
and
they
it
can
turned
do whatever they want.
The final score ended up being that, but I was like, it's kind of happening right now.
I think for me, I think it's obviously Georgia. I think it's going to be 2 Michigan, 3 TCU, and it's going to be USC, right? USC has
everything in front of them.
Everything in front of them, but everything the committee wants, right? They're hot. They're playing primetime games in the last part of the season. They have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback because he's going to win the Heisman now. Like 100%. It's over. Might as well just give it to him.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's going to win the Heisman. They're going to win. They're USC, so it's LA. You have the West Coast back into the fold. USC historically being the team that has been good, right? Like they haven't been good in a while.
It's been fun.
Right? And you have, hey, Lincoln Riley, new coach. Look what he did. New all this whole deal, right? They have everything you want. Now they go ahead and they lose in the Pac-12. That's where it gets a little hairy. But I think it's going to be that, and then I think 5 is going to be Ohio State. I think this is the one year that they're going to be able to get 2 big. They may be able to get 2 Big Ten teams in the Final Four. They're not going to put. I know that Alabama had 2 small margins of defeat, but I just don't think that they're going to do that.
Do you think that that's the right move when you're comparing the 2 teams?
I don't necessarily think it's the right move, but I just, as far as optics,
what?
I don't think it's the right move. But as far as optics go, it's hard to say, hey, we're gonna put a 2-loss non-conference champion in over.
You know what also is hard? What also is hard optics wise? To get blown out in your last game of the season and put you in.
I get it. Listen, I understand that.
And I don't care by who, but literally, like, it's hard for me to say, like, hey, you're a contender for the national championship when the team that you just lost to is going to be in that same race and they just came to your house a week ago and beat the dust off you.
Took your wife.
It's hard for me. So it's hard for me to say, like, yeah, I think that's a team that's got a chance to win a national championship.
Here's my next question too: is what happens if TCU goes to the championship game, loses on like a last-second field goal by 1 point.
In my mind?
Do you think they're in?
In my mind? Who they play?
Kansas, Texas?
No.
Kansas State.
Kansas State.
How many losses they got?
Kansas State? I don't know.
The other side, I remember seeing it
4,
during the
I think.
game. Either 4 or 5. Like the leader on the thing was
Yeah.
4 or 5. In my mind,
They're out.
you're out.
I agree. I think they should be out too. But I'm just saying, like, you're gonna have a one.
I don't think it's like surefire. It's not gonna.
Well, that's
but
why I don't
think you're out.
That's why I don't think. I think if TCU loses and USC loses, I think Alabama sneaks in. Now TCU loses, USC loses. You have a 1-loss TCU and you have a 1-loss Ohio State. I think they're gonna put both of those teams in over Alabama. I'm not saying it's the right
9-3.
9-3. I'm not saying it's the right move.
Oh, it's. I'm sorry. It
Texas
was the
would have
Big
been-
Ten. The other side, it was all.
Oh yeah. Is it Purdue?
It's the Big Ten. The other side, like everybody's either 4 or 5 losses.
Yeah, no, but you're not wrong. They could lose a 4th game.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I think Alabama obviously is better than those two teams, but
Bias.
as far as what they're gonna do, they're gonna do their best to put not put Alabama in there with 2 losses
I agree.
and not winning a championship.
I think that's what they'll do too, and I think it'll
Or
be.
not even playing a
I think it'll be as indicative as to what you see tomorrow. What you see tomorrow is like they ain't gonna jump each other where one's not
unless
playing.
everybody loses.
Yeah, in the sense of like, I just mean it in the sense of like you said, unless everybody loses, but like you're gonna have those two sitting there. They both ain't playing next week. They're gonna just Alabama gonna jump them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think wherever you're gonna see them tomorrow is pretty much how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And one is gonna slide in, and maybe the other one doesn't. Meaning like the higher seeded.
yeah,
one. Yeah,
for sure.
Speaking of USC,
Let's get to the
for my
segments.
first curtain call.
No, not my fault. Brought to you by Dozy Plays First. Curtain calls last, always.
Always.
That's why it's a
Curtain
call.
Not my fault.
Brought to you by.
Does he plays? And this is definitely his fault.
So much suspense in this. I didn't know what was gonna be.
Oh, Dan Snyder can't help himself. The
Oh my
slander against Sean Taylor. They've done it twice in 2 years for no reason. You let Jackson Mahomes dance all over his grave, essentially. And then you have an unveiling of what's supposed to be a statue for
a mannequin.
Sean Taylor. And instead you get a fucking...
Wire.
No, you get the Under Armour mannequin. Like,
But it's built out of wire. Like it's not even.
And you don't even put
We got Adidas.
Sean
it's not
Taylor's.
Sean Taylor.
You don't
It's his
listen to me.
jersey.
If you're gonna have a shrine on Sean Taylor about Sean Taylor, tape up his face mask because that was literally
And his fingers.
Sean Taylor and his fingers, and
A visor.
you're going to just make it. That is a miss.
Here's my
Coolest
thing.
player of all time.
Here's
That's
the
a
thing.
miss.
Here's the thing. How
He's
hard?
the only guy that can blow up a punter in the Pro Bowl. Is it a punter?
Yes.
There's a punter in
Hey,
the Pro
how-
Bowl.
Shane-
hard would it have
Shane
been?
Buckler.
How hard would it have been to get one of
It
the?
was harder to fuck it up like this.
How hard would it have been to just get like, hey, all right, if we're gonna just do a mannequin, cool. Let's just go get one of those mannequins that's in dicks because that's pretty much what it looked like in
did.
beautiful. No, they didn't. do that. This is a terrible, wire, skinny, frail, and don't look intimidating at all. Like, just go get one of those because they're big as shit and they're built like literally like he was. Put a uniform on that thing. Let's not have it wearing Adidas cleats when the whole uniform's Nike. Like they missed on Reebok pants. Like they missed on so much of that. It was like, did you really even try, or did like what,
Do you know
what
who
did we
Sean
do
Taylor
here?
is?
What did we really
Man,
do
you
here?
Cut up
you
his
put it
own.
there.
Yeah, you
There it
basically
is.
cut
That
up his
don't,
own
does that look like
socks.
Sean Taylor to you?
No, it was embarrassing.
And you can see the wire
That's what I'm saying. Like
on
look
his
at that.
knees. Like,
Well, like what? Like that's what we did.
wow, that's embarrassing. Embarrassing. 100%. Listen, Commanders can't get right. They're playing decent football. They just can't get right.
Get Dan Snyder out the fucking league. Like that should be more egregious than anything else he's ever done, which is also disgusting.
Can't believe they won.
That guy's a mess. And Sean Taylor, that hurts, dog.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. All right,
So
curtain call.
disrespectful.
So
Yeah.
disrespectful.
I agree.
Curtain call brought to you
All
by
the
Assured
fault.
Partners.
My curtain call, brought to you by Assured Partners, is also very disrespectful, but comes back to the college football playoff, where we have Caleb Williams painting his fingernails. And I wanted to know what y'all thought
I
about
did
this,
see
because
that.
this is very... I feel like we're too old for this to be cool, but it also does feel cool. Like, if somebody did that on your team or my team whenever I played, I'd have been like, what are you doing? But now this is like the new wave of like painting your fingernails and whatever. But the fact that he painted fuck ND and then proceeded to go ahead and win the Heisman is maybe.
I mean,
I
don't think one way or another. Like, if that's how he motivates himself,
Yeah.
whatever.
I've just never seen it before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
I've never seen the fingernail paint, but
No,
shout out
I've
to him.
seen, and people are painting their fingernails now, and love is love. Do whatever you want, but
My curtain call comes from, and I don't know the name of the guy. My curtain call it came at about the 14-minute and 50-second spot of the first quarter of the Raiders and Seahawks game, right? So imagine this game's just kicked off. Everybody's high off of life. They feel good about it. Derek Carr drops back. Derek Carr throws a pick. There is a player that comes off the sideline.
Awesome.
I haven't seen this.
Quandre Diggs makes the pick, catches it, diving, hits the ground. Player comes off the side. My guess, I don't know how long he's been in the league, but thinking this is college, that the ball is dead, runs onto the field, celebrating. Then realizes once he's up, plays it off, and just gets in the play. And they don't call anything on it because you couldn't tell.
12 minutes on the field.
So my curtain call is to him because that is absolutely impressive that you brought that much energy that you didn't even realize you don't belong on the field.
I'm playing though.
Guys in it for the squad.
Well, and if you saw the LSU Alabama game, I don't know what rules are anymore. If somebody wants to come off the sidelines, and he might as well.
He came off the sideline.
But
he definitely
blocking.
All right, look, here it is. It's in there now.
Oh, you put it. I was just literally about to do it.
Unbelievable.
It is crazy. Put it up, yeah. Put it on there.
No way.
On the field. Part of the play.
I'm playing. Get me in the game.
I think he realized, too, once he was on, like, oh, shit, this thing's still going.
Yep.
I can't actually hit anyone, but let me just kind of maybe look like I'm in somebody's way.
Unbelievable. He didn't get called. It was great. My curtain call is
over the middle.
To
intercepted. Picked off by Quandre Diggs. Diggs out of bounds at about the 15-yard line, and just like that,
great interception.
the Seahawks grab the
My
momentum.
curtain call is to the defense of the Denver Broncos finally having enough and getting up in Russell Wilson's face and having a little heated altercation. Now, listen,
was said if Russell Wilson says something, as he.
And Russell Wilson just said, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
yes, sir. Okay, whatever you say.
We're on the same page.
Now, they came out and said, we're on the same page. He said, let's effing go, the whole deal. Like, and then the other guy comes out. They did the politically correct thing. To me, that is a lot of pent-up energy through the course of the season. Like, hey, Russell, we paid you all this fucking money.
You're the last person.
And you have thrown 6 touchdown passes all football season. You know who has more touchdown passes than Russell Wilson? Do you? Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz hasn't played in a football game since week 6. He's got 10. Almost double what Russell Wilson has. It's embarrassing.
Is it something like he has somebody on his fantasy team?
Embarrassing.
He may be an owner of Russell.
Embarrassing.
It's very possible.
Look at different Broncos owner.
Justin Fields got fucking hurt, couldn't play.
I didn't do that. I missed it because of the LSU game.
6 touchdown passes all year. So he deserves
Justin
that.
Fields last night.
That's a current call. Shout out to the defense. Shout out to the guys finally saying, you know what? Figure your shit out, man. Do what you do. What we paid you to do.
You're the last guy that can talk. Don't say shit until you figure it out.
No doubt. He probably said, yeah, let's ride. That's what he told him.
I just wanted to tell you.
Defense,
let's ride.
ride.
Let's ride. If he said that, he may have been dead.
If he said that, I would love to have been standing right
He
there.
may have been dead. May have been dead. What the fuck did you just say to me?
Coach, you ain't been riding all year.
And then he's running out there. We're riding. He's running out there staying behind the back so he can't get him. He can't run on the field and catch me.
And then Jack had his curtain call, which is actually also a very good one.
Yes.
I thought, which is a little dangerous, maybe. Is that fair to say?
Dangerous? How?
It's Stephon Diggs just taking somebody's kid.
Oh, they gave them permission to take, to put him on the field and throw with him. I think that's awesome.
I just don't. I've never seen it before. I've never
I think
seen
it's awesome.
Like,
Look, the mom's handing him to him.
Take him. I mean, where are we going? But shout out to the kid.
Made the catch.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude,
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna drop it.
The pressure.
Great throw.
Great throw.
Kid
and
was
then
ready
he's got
for
a
it.
little juice to him.
Hey, this is a 15, 20-yard throw. 20-yard throw.
Big ball.
Yeah.
And then he throws it back to him. Look, give me some. I got to
Yeah,
get a
get a
little
little
juice
closer.
going. And look, both
Boom.
feet.
Got it. Oh, both feet. Toe taps.
Carl
toe jack
Lacey
slide.
would never. Sorry.
Great show. Great show today. Good Monday show. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We will be back live from the studio from 6 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday.
And aren't you doing something else? Are you hosting a collage show?
On Wednesday?
No, I think for Christmas. Aren't you?
Oh, we're in talks. I'm not hosting the collage show. The Mik'd Up show will be from the morning.
I think we're gonna go from the Colada Show account.
Oh, I didn't see. We haven't gotten details yet.
I think we are, just to give a little bit of a. We got more people here, you know.
Yeah.
Put your eyeballs on there.
Maybe. I think that's what it is.
We got 30.
We talked about it.
We got 3,500 subscribers. Let's see if we can get.
We're at the 3,500.
Let's go.
Oh, we're making a push.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a big
So,
jump.
We'll do both.
I like that. Yeah, that we'll announce that. Obviously, we have a couple weeks before we announce that.
Was I not supposed to say that?
I literally got sent to me about 3 hours ago in a text message. Hey, what'd you think about doing this? So I said, sure, but we haven't. I mean, that was the first he's heard of it. I didn't even brought it up to him yet.
Well, he's hosting Mik'd Up on
Friday.
Jay
Mitch, Mik'd Up, hosted by Jared Mitchell.
You heard?
You heard me?
Yeah.
You heard me? All right, great show today.
I love how excited you are about it.
Great show today. Have a great rest of your Monday.
We did the Seggies?
We did the Seggies.
Oh, and before we get out of here, the climb to 1K is officially over. I did it.
You gotta stay above
congratulations.
it. You gotta stay above it too. Stay above it.
That should have been your curtain call.
quitting.
The new goal is to stay above it now.
That should have been your curtain call.
I'm not one to toot my own horn.
Okay,
You're not a taster?
Uh-huh.
You just did it.
Yeah.
I'm not too my I'm just to do it.
I never thought it was possible. Do that again?
All right, great show. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy Monday Night Football. It's gonna be a doozy.
Oh, and another, if you want to call it a curtain call, we mentioned a little bit. Jack Ballard, our guy, just put it in the chat. A little something dropping this week.
I said earlier.
I know. I'm just wanting to let the people know.
All right.
Might be a voice you've heard before.
Voice that's very endearing to you. To the
Might
hearts,
be a voice you.
to the hearts of
recognize.
all
you
LSU.
recognize.
We'll see.
Any
That's
team,
all we're
any
saying.
team,
I'm
any
We'll
not
team
see.
that he's
Yeah, we'll
played
see.
on,
We'll
really.
see. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
All right.
we'll see.
Good night.
Good evening.
Thanks. Good evening. Good night. Thanks for watching Mik'd Up. Thanks for listening to Mik'd Up. We're brought to you by Sterling Automotive. We'll be back live again on Wednesday. Please like, subscribe. Thank you for everything that you have done for us. Thank you for the push. Now we're at the push to 4K on YouTube. We've had a big jump. We've had a lot of new subscribers. Please continue to subscribe. We have fun doing this. Can't do it without you. We would not be a show if nobody listened. I promise you.
I feel good.
I pushed through a lot of things. If we had 0 listeners, I don't think I'd be doing this.
Oh,
Sorry.
we don't.
After a year, we don't. Because of you. Appreciate it. Love you. Have a good night. Peace.
Love you.